Chapter 4891. Lin Xian, don't resist. This time, the elder personally asked you to go over. You'd better agree obediently. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. Everyone's eyes were on Lin Xian. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as a piercingly cold light appeared in his eyes. Just as he was about to say something, a loud voice came from afar. The divine general of the Sacred Origin Tower had arrived. The moment these words came out, everyone exclaimed again. The divine general was here too? The status of these divine generals was extremely high. Even the Yi family elder and the Thousand Dragon Court's elder raised their brows. The Sacred Origin Tower was very mysterious, and the identities of these divine generals were also very unusual. The Dao Sect's elders also stood up and quickly welcomed them. At this moment, everyone began to move. Even the two guards did not attack again. Instead, they turned their heads to look. Under the gazes of countless people, two figures walked in. It was really the divine general. Many people exclaimed, their eyes turning red. They could only look up to such existences. So it's the divine general, a rare guest. The Dao Sect's elder clenched his fist and smiled. How could we not come to the Dao Sect's grand event? This time, we're here to congratulate the Dao Sect. The moment these words came out, the Dao Sect's elders laughed. Did you see that? Their influence was even more terrifying than before. The other remote antiquity families and peerless sects were envious as well. The Yi family's elder and the Thousand Dragon Court's expert also came forward to greet them. In the face of such existences, the two divine generals did not dare to be careless. They did not expect that even the emperor's fellow Taoists would come. The Yi family's elders said that they were here to congratulate the Dao Sect and at the same time, to see the top geniuses of the Dao Sect. The Dao Sect's disciple, Lin Xian, has the 9-yang divine body and is good friends with our Yi family's Wu Dao. Oh, is that so? Divine General Hai Abyss smiled. What a coincidence. This time, we're also here to look for Lin Xian. The moment these words came out, the surrounding people were stunned. The divine general was also here to look for Lin Xian? They found it unbelievable. Could it be that these two divine generals were also on Lin Xian's side? When they thought of this possibility, they almost fainted. Why? Why was Lin Xian so capable? He had invited so many experts from so many families, and even the emperor clans and divine generals had to stand on his side. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty's people were stunned. The Dragon Prince and the Dragon Palace's people were even more dumbfounded. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Why was the divine general looking for him? Could it be that his identity had been exposed by the other party? While thinking about it, two immortal generals walked towards Lin Xian. Seeing that Lin Xian was still sitting there, the surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. This guy wouldn't be so arrogant even in front of a divine general, right? However, it was still all right. Finally, Lin Xian stood up under everyone's gaze. He smiled and said, "Greetings, senior divine generals." Then he looked at Divine General Hai Yuan and said, "Thank you, senior, for your help." It's you. The Ocean Abyss divine general was also stunned. Then he smiled and said, "So you are this Lin Xian." Lin Wudi. That's right, the two knew each other. When Lin Xian went to the Sacred Abyss Tower for the first time, he was stopped outside because he didn't have Saint Crystals. Back then, he met a divine general who gave him 10 divine crystals. It was Divine General Hai Yuan in front of him. The Ocean Abyss divine general didn't expect that the other party was such a famous genius when he casually took care of him back then. Wait, he was stunned. He remembered that it was this little guy who went in at the same time as Mad God. It was also the first time he appeared on the Sacred Abyss list. He didn't care before, but now he realized that Lin Xian and Mad God had entered the Sacred Abyss Tower on the same day and were so close. He frowned slightly as a bold idea came to his mind. Could it be that the young man in front of him was Mad God? As soon as this idea came to his mind, even he was shocked. Then he shook his head. That was impossible. If it was really as he guessed, then it was really a big deal. Beside him, Divine General Yun Gu saw that his companion was stunned and asked quietly, "Old friend, what's wrong?" Divine General Hai Yuan came back to his senses and said, "Nothing." Young Master Lin was indeed as the rumors said. He was extraordinary. Lin Xian didn't know if the other party had discovered his secret. He could only smile and say, "Senior, you're too polite." He didn't know why these people were looking for him, but he guessed that it must have something to do with Mad God. Therefore, he didn't say anything. "Young man, very good. I have high hopes for you. If you have any difficulties in the future, feel free to tell me. I'll help you." "Thank you, Senior." Lin Xian smiled. The faces of those from the Dragon Palace changed. Even the Dao sect elders frowned. At the side, Bai Susu said, "Senior Divine General, there's really something. Someone wants to suppress Lin Xian." "Not good." The eyelids of the Dao sect elders twitched. Divine General Haiyuan frowned. What was going on? Who was so bold? Who dared to suppress a genius in the Dao sect? The toad jumped out and said, "It was really strange to say that it was one of them. This was an order given by an elder of the Dao sect. This was an order to kill a genius." Hearing the toad's words, the faces of the surrounding people changed. Dang, this toad really dared to say that? Divine General Haiyuan frowned and asked, "Is there such a thing?" The levitation saint smiled. "I think it's a misunderstanding. Am I right, purple-robed elder?" He looked at the other party. The purple-robed elder's face darkened. How could he refute? Was he supposed to say that it wasn't a misunderstanding? Everyone would probably think that he was suppressing the younger generation. Therefore, he could only smile and say, "Misunderstanding, this is a misunderstanding. Both of you, back off quickly." The two guards felt their scalps go numb and they quickly fled. It seemed that no one dared to touch Lin Xian openly. Damn it, the Dragon Prince and the others gritted their teeth. Killing intent appeared in the eyes of those from the Thousand Dragon Court. This person seemed very dangerous and they had to think of a way to get rid of him. They definitely couldn't allow a potential threat to grow. Just like Long Guang from before. Although he wasn't the Emperor's son, he had threatened the Dragon Prince. Wasn't he still killed by them? They were also capable of sending Lin Xian to hell without anyone noticing. Today, Lin Xian and the divine union that he was in could be said to be in the limelight, causing a storm in all directions. Even the Dao elders didn't dare to act rashly. In an instant, everyone was talking about how the divine union would become even more famous from today onwards and more experts would join. At this moment, the Dao sect's patriarch finally arrived. Everyone looked over. The Dao sect disciples all stood up and bowed respectfully. "Greetings, Patriarch." The Dao sect's patriarch was at the peak of the great sage. His aura was unparalleled. His appearance was like the appearance of a god, suppressing everything. Lin Xian felt a chill down his spine even though he was so far away. This was the peak existence of the great sage. His aura was like the roar of 10,000 dragons. Chapter 4892. Greetings, Lord of the Fantasy World. These were the experts of the remote antiquity families and great sections. The patriarchs also bowed. The fantasy world ancestor had changed the world. She smiled and said, "Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Thank you for participating in the ceremony. 10 years have been like a day. Which geniuses have appeared in the Path sect? Let's wait and see." The fantasy world ancestor sat down and the elders of the Path sect walked out to preside over the ceremony. The purpose of this grand ceremony was to test which young genius disciples in the past 10 years were able to stand out and catch the eye of the patriarch. It was divided into 3 major battlefields: the Star ranking, Jade ranking, and Shen ranking. Countless people were looking forward to it. Those who could make it onto the Jade ranking were the top existences of the same cultivation level. Those who were not on the Jade ranking had an additional opportunity to challenge them. In short, as long as one had the strength to stand out, this was a very rare opportunity. On Lin Xian's side, many Divine Union disciples took action. Even Fu Hongye, the dark red divine dragon, Bai Susu, and the others took action. It was even more so on the Dragon Palace's side. In an instant, various battles broke out one after another. It was very exciting and breathtaking. The experts of the remote antiquity families and great sects were shocked. The Path sect was indeed worthy of having so many experts. The toad and the dark red divine dragon were stronger than before. by Susu was the same. It seemed like she had been nurtured by her father during this period. On the Divine Union side, their overall strength had increased tremendously, which shocked countless people. In the past, besides the Dragon Palace, there were other powerful forces that were also very scary. However, they seemed to have been surpassed by the Divine Union now. Everyone exclaimed. The Dragon Palace was not weak either. Although they had been suppressed by Lin Xian previously, they still had a strong foundation. At this moment, the experts of the Dragon Palace were mobilized. There were many experts on the star ranking and Xian ranking. There was even an incredible expert, Lan Xiu. Lan Xiu had become the Dragon Prince's cultivation partner, so he had more than 10 times more resources than before. Her strength had also improved by leaps and bounds, and she was now in the top 10 of the Jade ranking. The Blue Tribe's patriarch looked at this scene and was very satisfied. Lan Xiu seemed to have regained his confidence after defeating experts consecutively. Lin Xian looked at him indifferently and then lowered his head to drink his tea. That's right, that's all. This event lasted for many days. During this period, many powerhouses stood out. Of course, the ones that attracted the most attention were 3 people. The first was naturally the Dragon Prince. His strength and talent could be said to be very strong. He was definitely one of the best below the Dragon Prince. Therefore, when he made his move, it shocked everyone. Even the elders nodded their heads continuously. Other than that, they were ranked 2nd and 3rd on the Xian ranking. The first on the profound ranking, the Dragon Prince, had not appeared. The 2nd and 3rd on the profound ranking were only slightly weaker than the Dragon Prince. Their strength was naturally shocking. These 2 people were Li Rulin, who was ranked 2nd on the profound ranking, and Jia Wuqing, who was ranked 3rd on the profound ranking. If one were to ask who was most likely to be accepted as the ancestor's disciple, it would most likely be one of these 3 people. When all the matches were over, everyone was looking forward to it. Especially Li Rulin, Jia Wuqing, and Long Ao, the 3 of them were all nervous. They didn't know who would be targeted by the patriarch this time. The elders also seemed to be asking for Fantasy World Ancestor's opinion. The patriarch's eyes flickered as he looked at the 3 of them. Stars flickered in his eyes. The 3 of them were extremely nervous, as if all their secrets had been seen through in an instant. What do you all think? Fantasy World Ancestor did not immediately answer. Instead, he looked at the people around him. An elder said, I think Li Rulin is a very good person. There were also people who said that Jia Wuqing's merciless Tao was very terrifying and that his future was limitless. At this moment, purple-robed Elder Zhang said, Let me see, although the 2 of them are powerful, their future is not as good as Long Ao's. Although Long Hao was not an emperor, he was the top genius of the dragons. He also had the ancient desolate body. What a rare physique. Look at the Yi family's Yi Wudao. One could imagine how terrifying Long Ao's future talent would be. I guess the number 1 in the entire Dao is the Dragon Prince, and the number 2 is definitely Long Ao. Therefore, why don't you take Long Ao as your disciple and nurture him carefully? In the future, he will definitely be famous in the 9 heavens. In fact, there might even be another genius who will be crowned as a king. What Purple-Robed said was true. There were a few elders around him who kept nodding. It was obvious that they all supported Long Ao. Hearing this, Long Ao's face was filled with pride, but Li Rulin and Jia Wuqing's expressions changed. Fantasy World Ancestor's eyes flickered as he looked at Long Ao. At this moment, the Ascension Saint stood up. Senior Brother Purple-Robed, your words are wrong. Long Ao is strong, but I don't agree with you saying that he is the number 2 genius of the Tao. I recommend someone to the ancestor. This person's strength and talent are unparalleled. Who is it? The ancestor was interested. Purple-Robed and the others' expressions changed. Was the Ascension Saint going to recommend that brat? The disciple I want to recommend is called Lin Xian. He has not been in the Dao sect for long, but the strength and talent he has displayed are unparalleled. Is that so? Fantasy World Old Ancestor was astonished. Ancestor, please wait a moment. The Ascension Saint turned around and walked out of the hall. He said loudly, Lin Xian, the ancestor wants to see you. When these words were spoken, countless people were in an uproar. No way. Could it be that Lin Xian also had the chance to become the ancestor's disciple? Some people's eyes turned red. On the Dragon Palace's side, Nan Gu, Lan Ziyu, and the others gritted their teeth. But why could he do it? The three people in the square, Li Ruolin and Wu Qing, were also shocked. The Dragon Crown Prince's face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with killing intent. That's great. Lin Xian, my father recommended you. You have to perform well. In the hall, Bai Susu was very excited. The others also took a deep breath. Lin Xian nodded and walked out, heading forward. Junior Lin Xian greets the ancestor and all the elders. Long Ao snorted coldly. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the hall in front of him. An elder sat there like a god of the sky. In the next moment he was met with a gaze. What kind of gaze was that? It was ancient and filled with the vicissitudes of life. Lin Xian felt as if he was struck by lightning. He felt that all his secrets had been seen through by the other party. What a terrifying gaze. Lin Xian was shocked and quickly retracted his thoughts. At the same time, a golden light gathered in his eyes and he activated the power in his body. He was shocked. It was too terrifying. The other party was actually an illusion expert. And he should be a top expert. After all, the other party was at the peak of the great sage. You are Lin Xian? Fantasy World Ancestor's voice floated out. It was as if a god was asking. Chapter 4893. That's right, I am. Lin Xian nodded. That's right. Fantasy World Old Ancestor smiled. Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. The expressions of the people from Dragon Palace changed. Could it be that the old ancestor favored him? Old ancestor, this Lin Xian seems to be a good person at the moment, but his future is really worrying. It can be said that he has no future at all. What do you mean? Fantasy World Old Ancestor was shocked. The purple-clothed elder said. The old ancestor didn't know that this person was indeed very strong, but he was from the immortal tomb. In history, there were two people from the immortal tomb who were extremely talented, but in the end, they fell and couldn't become the great sage. They couldn't even become a sage king. It was heaven-defying for him to reach this step, but it was impossible for him to take another step forward. He was actually from the immortal tomb. Countless people were shocked. This was the first time some people heard this news. The people from Dragon Palace sneered. How could a person without a future compare to the Dragon Prince? The Feather Saint Lord also frowned. This was indeed Lin Xian's weakness. He couldn't refute it at all. Although he had thought of countless countermeasures, the people from the immortal tomb seemed to have no solution. Was what he said true? Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at the Feather Saint Lord. The Feather Saint Lord had no choice but to nod. Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at Lin Xian and shook his head. What a pity. It's over, this kid has no hope. Countless people sighed. The Dragon Prince sneered and said in a low voice, Kid, you're still far from being able to fight with me. At this moment, Fantasy World Old Ancestor looked at Long Ao and said, From now on, follow me to cultivate. Thank you, Old Ancestor. Long Ao bowed respectfully. He was really too excited. He could finally enter the core area. Currently, his cultivation speed was several times faster than others. Even the top geniuses were 2 to 3 times faster. This was because he had the support of resources from many worlds. If he could become a core disciple, then his cultivation speed would increase. At that time, the others wouldn't be his match. On the side, Li Ruolin and Wu Qing sighed. It seemed like they had no hope. At this moment, an elder spoke. Although the two of them couldn't become the old ancestors' disciples, they could be accepted as disciples. They would also have a chance to enter the core area. This made the two of them happy. The Levitation Saint also wanted to make use of this opportunity to take in Lin Xian as a disciple. This way, Lin Xian would at least be able to enter the core region. The Dragon Crown Prince, who was lacking in resources, wouldn't lose out too much. However, the purple-clothed elder said, Immortal Ascension Elder, I advise you not to waste this spot. He is someone from the immortal tomb and definitely won't be allowed to enter the core area. That's right, he has no future and is not worthy of our nurturing. You're wasting the resources of the Tao by recruiting him as your disciple. The feather saint let out a heavy sigh. Lin Xian remained expressionless. So what if he didn't become a core disciple? He had relied on his own efforts to get to where he was now. In his opinion, there was no difference whether he entered or not. If the other party could obtain a huge amount of resources, so could he. As long as he collected more world cores and entered the sword world to cultivate, his speed would not be inferior to anyone's. Fantasy World Ancestor looked at Lin Xian. When he saw Lin Xian, he was expressionless and shocked. To be honest, this young man had surprised him. When he first looked at him, he realized that he was different from the others. When the Dragon Prince and the others met his gaze, they were unable to resist at all. She had instantly seen through the Dragon Prince and the other two. However, this Lin Xian was different. The other party had a mysterious aura that was resisting him. Although the other party's strength was temporarily unable to contend against him, there was still a trace of mystery to him. He asked, "Are you not convinced?" Lin Xian said he did not dare. He only felt that these elders were too conservative. Conservative? Hearing this, the purple-clothed elder became angry. "Brat, are you doubting us?" His eyes carried a trace of cold light. Lin Xian said, "If you think it's a question, then it's a question. What qualifications do you have to question me? Young man, aren't you a bit too weak?" The purple-clothed elder snorted. Lin Xian raised his head, his eyes filled with determination. "You keep saying that I am from the immortal tomb and have no future. What is your basis?" The purple-clothed elder sneered. "What a joke. Didn't I say it? There were two in history, but neither of them became the great sage, so it's impossible for you." Lin Xian snorted coldly. "I think you're the laughable one. What did you say?" The purple-clothed elder was furious. Fantasy World Ancestor waved his hand to stop him. He looked at Lin Xian again. Lin Xian said, "Because two people didn't do it, you doubt that I can't do it either?" A martial artist's cultivation was originally going against the heavens. Don't you even have the spirit to explore and challenge? So what if it's unprecedented? What others can't do doesn't mean that I can't do it. The light in Lin Xian's eyes became colder and colder. "If we have to follow your thoughts. How did the first great emperor appear? What was the first time a human cultivated? Who was it? The first time they could use the laws. These people who created the world, no one could pursue them before. Could it be that they were not going to continue moving forward? Without these people opening up the path, what do you have to cultivate now?" Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, one word at a time. The purple-clothed elder's expression turned ugly. "How dare he?" Lin Xian retracted his gaze and said indifferently, "If you think I'm wrong, you can correct me, but you can use your status as an elder to suppress everything. Isn't that a bit too much of a bully?" As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people began to discuss. Indeed, Lin Xian was right. What a sharp-tongued brat. Those who created the martial Tao were all heaven-defying existences. They were all supreme figures. How could you be compared to them? Whether or not I'm worthy of being compared to them is not something you can comment on. A cold light also appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. "Even if there is no path for me, I will walk a path that belongs to me between heaven and earth." As soon as he finished speaking, thunder rumbled between heaven and earth. It seemed to suppress Lin Xian, but also seemed to respond to Lin Xian. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This young man was incredible. Could it be that he wanted to open up a path for himself? How difficult was that? One had to know that even if they followed the path opened up by countless ancestors, it was already as difficult as ascending to the heavens, let alone opening up a new martial Tao. Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes flashed. He was now more and more certain of Lin Xian's identity. The Yi family people were also shocked. This kid was incredible. If he could break the curse of the immortal tomb people, his future would be limitless. He might even become a great emperor. The Thousand Dragon Court people's expressions became ugly. Even if such a person was cursed, they wouldn't allow him to live. It was too dangerous. If they gave him a chance, he might be able to turn things around. They had to think of a way to get rid of him as soon as possible. What a joke! The Dragon Crown Prince shouted coldly. "Kid, you are too naive." Chapter 4894. In everyone's eyes, Lin Xian seemed to have reached a dead end. However, Lin Xian smiled. He turned his head and stared at the Dragon Crown Prince. Are you doubting me? Do you dare to fight me? Long Ao laughed when he heard that. You want to challenge me? Fine, you killed my incarnation this time. It's time to settle this grudge. I'm not afraid of you. Fortunately, it was your incarnation this time. Otherwise, you would have gone to hell long ago. Lin Xian's eyes emitted an extremely sharp killing intent. Their great Tao laws intertwined and collided. It was as if two divine dragons were fighting between heaven and earth. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. Are these two top geniuses going to fight? It was too shocking. They were all excited because regardless of appearance or Lin Xian, they were both top geniuses. The battle between the two of them would definitely be a fierce battle. Nonsense, all of you retreat. An elder snorted coldly. Now that the two top geniuses were fighting, wouldn't that be throwing them to the finish line? The purple-clothed elder smiled. It didn't matter. This event was originally to select geniuses, and now both of them were called geniuses. Then who was stronger and who was weaker would be known later. The other experts nodded in agreement. The experts of the nest of 10,000 dragons also spoke. We also want to see what a top battle is like. What do you think? Fantasy World Ancestor looked at the Levitation Saint Lord. The Levitation Saint Lord took a deep breath and followed the Ancestor's decision. He didn't stop him because he felt that Lin Xian should be able to contend against Long Ao. Even if he couldn't win, he wouldn't lose too badly. This way he could show his strength. Perhaps the Ancestor would change his mind. Fantasy World Ancestor retracted his gaze. He understood and looked at the two people in front of him. Since the two of you aren't convinced, then let's fight. However, this battle was a spar and no one was allowed to kill. Yes, Lin Xian and Jia Ruochen cupped their fists. Then, the two of them stood facing each other. Jia Wuqing and Li Ruolin retreated. The surrounding people also retreated, giving them enough distance. A fierce battle was about to begin. Long Ao snorted. Brat, you want to fight with me? You really don't know what's good for you. Although I can't kill you now, I will ruthlessly trample you under my feet. I will show you the difference between the two of us. There was a trace of coldness in his eyes. If he defeated Lin Xian at this time, it would mean that Dragon Palace would be completely trampled underfoot. From now on, the other party would never be able to make a comeback. Lin Xian smiled. You're overconfident. You'll be the one in despair. What's more, when I fought against the Dragon Palace, my target was the Dragon Prince from the beginning, not you. Hearing this, Long Ao's face darkened. Was he being ignored? The surrounding people were also in an uproar. Lin Xian's target was actually the Dragon Prince. This was too inconceivable. Long Ao snorted coldly. Brat, stop boasting. Is the Dragon Prince someone you can challenge? Today, I will trample you under my feet. With a cold shout, the power of his body erupted. Terrifying dragon chi surrounded him, and a huge dragon shadow that was tens of thousands of feet tall appeared. Terrifying auras were rarely seen in the 9 heavens. So terrifying. Countless people were terrified. This Long Ao was really too powerful. He was indeed worthy of being evaluated as an existence second only to the Dragon Prince. Just this aura alone was enough to sweep through everything. Li Ruolin and Wu Qing's pupils also shrank. Although Long Ao didn't compete for the Xian ranking, with his strength, he could probably kill his way into the top 10. This was too inconceivable. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and an extremely terrifying flame light appeared on his body. It was like a sun that descended in the world. The terrifying aura swept in all directions. The surrounding people exclaimed again. Previously, they thought that Lin Xian was too arrogant. But when they felt the aura coming from Lin Xian's body, they changed their minds. They all changed their minds. The other party did have the capital to be arrogant. This aura was definitely not weak. Sure enough, a sun and a true dragon clashed continuously between heaven and earth. Countless cracks appeared between heaven and earth. So terrifying. Those young disciples retreated, and the older generation's pupils shrank. Just this confrontation of aura alone was enough to kill many people. If these two really fought, how earth-shattering would it be? Long Ao snorted coldly. The other party was indeed not weak. Although he didn't want to admit it, this was the truth. Go to hell. He waved his hand. The giant dragon in the sky waved its claws, tearing the void and descending. Its target was Lin Xian. So terrifying. It was an absolute art the moment it appeared. In the face of this terrifying attack, Lin Xian's expression remained calm. He formed a seal with his palm. It was the man-ruler seal. When he struck out, he was like a deity in the vast world. The two terrifying forces collided, and then the light cracked. A terrifying black hole appeared and crazily devoured the surroundings. They were evenly matched. Great. The people of the Divine Union cheered. What dragon prince? He was just SO. The toad and the others sneered. Just wait. Soon, your prince will be trampled under his feet. The people of the Dragon Palace gritted their teeth. Damn it, you will lose. Your leader, Lin Xian, will be defeated by our crown prince. Just wait and see. The Divine Union is finished. Both sides gnashed their teeth, not giving in to each other. The atmosphere was intense. Lin Xian smiled after blocking the other party's dragon hand. Is this your strength? How disappointing. As he spoke, he struck out with his palm. It was the Great Rock Seal. A great rock appeared between heaven and earth, with an aura that could tear everything apart. Long Ao's face was cold. He waved his fist again, and the giant dragon roared. The terrifying dragon fist struck out. At the same time, the giant dragon wings on the back of the giant dragon were constantly rising and falling. It was like a heavenly blade slashing towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. He kept using the Man-Ruler Seal, Rock Seal, Treasure Mountain Seal to contend with the other party. It was as if two worlds were fighting. The sky was falling and the earth was splitting. Then, Lin Xian punched out. Six-Path Fist. This punch was indomitable, able to destroy everything. Not good. Seeing this, Long Ao's pupils shrank. He felt a fatal crisis. The other party was actually able to threaten him. It was unforgivable. Dragon Roar. His roar shook heaven and earth. The terrifying dragon roar swept out in all directions. At this moment, everyone's blood was boiling. Those who were weaker were bleeding from their 7 orifices. Some even had cracks on their bodies. Not good. It was too scary. The levitation saint waved his hands. Countless petals danced between heaven and earth, forming a boundary that covered the front. At the same time, the Yi family and the Thousand Dragon Court also took action. The 3 top experts worked together to seal the entire square to prevent the power from spreading. What was happening at the front? Many people widened their eyes. Even though they were so far away, they were still injured. Would Lin Xian, who was the first to bear the brunt of the impact, be affected as well? Chapter 4895. That kid was definitely dead. Seeing this scene, the people of Dragon Palace laughed. The people of Divine Union were also nervous. This was not an ordinary sound, but a dragon's roar. It contained endless dragon blood. Could Lin Xian block it? They were worried. However, they soon laughed because Lin Xian broke the heaven and earth with a single punch. Then he walked out aggressively. He stomped his foot and used the celestial walk to kill like a god. Do you think I'm afraid of you in close combat? Long Ao snorted. So what if the other party had the 9 Yang divine body? He also had the ancient desolate body. Boom. The two collided in close combat. Every blow was like 100,000 mountains bombarding between heaven and earth. Thousands of cracks appeared. The people below were shocked. Indeed, their physiques were evenly matched. Yi Wudao looked at this scene and narrowed his eyes. The dark red divine dragon also gritted his teeth. Damn it, this guy's physique was indeed extraordinary. Even he could feel a trace of threat from it. Among the dragons, there were very few people who could suppress Long Ao in terms of bloodline, except for the Dragon Prince. Useless kid, I'll split your 9 Yang divine body today. Long Ao roared to the sky and soared into the sky. The giant dragon phantom wings on his back drooped down again, like a peerless divine blade slashing down. Lin Xian sneered and stretched out his right arm. His right arm turned into a peerless divine sword. The sword rule swept across heaven and earth. This sword could split the sky. Boom! The collision between the divine blade and the divine sword made everyone's scalp tingle again. However, there seemed to be a change this time. The peerless divine saber formed by the giant dragon illusion was shattered by Lin Xian's attack, and a huge crack appeared. Then it was cut in half. Long Ao retreated. His arms split open and dragon blood dripped from the sky. Long Ao was injured. Countless people exclaimed. This was impossible. The people of Dragon Palace were shocked. Even the people of Thousand Dragon Court were shocked. This kid's physique was actually so strong? Even the ancient desolate body was no match for the other party? Long Ao's expression changed drastically. He felt that his entire arm could not exert any strength. The strength of the other party's physique was really beyond his expectations. Damn it! Dragon energy slash. He spat out a terrifying dragon chi, which turned into a peerless radiance and slashed out. This was no ordinary dragon-containing chi. She had been cultivating it with dragon blood in her body. It was extremely terrifying. It was a peerless killing move. The power of this attack was not inferior to that of the great sage's weapon. Boom! Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He didn't expect the other party to have such an ultimate move. He used the skywalk step and quickly dodged. However, this attack still managed to envelop him. With a kacha sound, he coughed out blood and flew outwards, golden holy blood flowing out from his body. His body was shattered, and a large crack appeared. Even his internal organs could be seen. Oh no, Lin Xian was also injured. Countless people cried out in alarm once again. The people of the Divine Union were nervous, but the people of the Dragon Palace were clenching their fists. Great Crown Prince, kill him. Long Ao sneered. He was injured in one arm, but the other party was even more seriously injured. His body was almost split in half. At the thought of this, he sneered. With a sway of his body, he charged forward quickly. Now that Lin Xian was injured, he wanted to kill the other party directly. At the very least, he wanted the other party to be seriously injured for a few hundred years. Seeing this, everyone's scalp went numb. The people of the Thousand Dragon Dynasty laughed. The outcome seemed to have been decided. Indeed, a dragon was a dragon, and a worm was a worm. It was impossible to surpass them. The purple-robed elder also sneered. In the eyes of these elders, there was no surprise in this battle. The levitation saint was also surprised. He didn't expect Lin Xian to be defeated so quickly. Could there really be a gap between them? On the other side, the Yi family's divine general and the other family leaders all frowned. It seemed like the crown prince was superior. Was this really all his strength? Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes flickered. He didn't think so. He thought highly of Lin Xian. Kid, what are you going to use to fight me? Long Ao had already arrived before Lin Xian, his eyes filled with killing intent. My bloodline, my identity, and my background aren't something you can deal with. I can crush you to death with one hand. You're lucky to have so many people protecting you. Otherwise, you'd be dead by now. Even so, I'll severely injure you and cripple you. His eyes were filled with extremely cold killing intent. At the same time, his face was also pale. He didn't use the Dragon Chi slash. He had cultivated 2 slashes of the Dragon Chi slash in his body. He wouldn't use it unless he had no other choice. This slash was already enough to injure him. His opponent didn't need to waste the last one. He was prepared to crush Long Ao with his own hands. He raised his palm and released a terrifying aura before slamming it down mercilessly. Go to hell. Even the great sage would be torn apart by this attack. It's over. Many of the old family leaders shook their heads and sighed. Everyone thought that this battle was over. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with a sharp light. To be honest, the Dragon Chi slash did threaten him and hurt him. But so what? The moment he was hurt, he used the immortality art to heal his injuries. In addition, his divine body was also dazzling in the starry sky. This injury was nothing. Seeing Long Ao rush in front of him, Lin Xian sneered. He waved his 2 arms and turned them into 2 peerless divine swords as he charged forward. Lin Xian was like a peerless war god. His terrifying sword Qi was invincible. It pierced through Long Ao's palm in an instant. How was this possible? Why was this sword Qi so sharp? Long Ao was stunned. This had completely surpassed the power of the Nine Suns' body. How could he know that other than the Nine Suns' divine body, Lin Xian also had the great dragon sword spirit in his body? When this sword technique was used, it was truly tearing the sky and splitting the earth. He was careless. He wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The speed of this sword was beyond his imagination. In an instant, Lin Xian's arms enveloped him. Boom, boom. His arms were like divine swords as they pierced into Long Ao's body. His internal organs were completely shattered. Then, Lin Xian's arms shook and sword Qi exploded. Long Ao's body was torn apart by this attack. Heavens, how was this possible? What did I just see? The surrounding spectators were stunned. The patriarchs and clansmen all stood up. The patriarchs of the Blue Clan and Wind Dragons were scared silly as they sat there in a daze. The people of the 10,000 Dragon Court suddenly stood up and shouted angrily. This was impossible. Dragon slaying. Long Ao was torn into pieces. The huge dragon phantom in the sky was also torn into pieces. Dragon blood roared between heaven and earth, sprinkling down from heaven and earth. This scene was too spectacular. Ah, well done. The dark red divine dragon roared, and the toad also cheered. Who said that we were inferior to dragons? He actually did it. Bai Su and the others were shocked. Elder Hai Yuan's lips curled into a smile. Little guy, you really didn't disappoint me. He felt more and more that Lin Xian was that person. You want to kill me? You can't do it. Lin Xian stood in the sky filled with dragon blood like a demon god. Chapter 4896. Between heaven and earth, dragon blood splattered, piercing through the 9 heavens. Long Ao roared crazily. His soul became sinister and distorted. Damn it, you dare to hurt me, I want you to die, I want you to go to hell, never to rise again. The killing intent on his body continued to erupt. At the same time, dragon blood condensed and restored his body. Long Ao's body had recovered, but there were some cracks that could not be completely healed. This shocked him, but he couldn't care less. Right now, he had to kill the other party. To relieve the hatred in her heart. Buzz. At this moment, Long Ao's body transformed into a 100-feet-long sea dragon. His blue scales illuminated the world. With a raise of his hand, he summoned clouds and rain. He was originally the son of the Dragon Sea Lord and had a powerful bloodline. Previously, he had transformed into a human form. At this moment, he was completely enraged and transformed into his original form. The dragon claws waved and the dragon tail swept across heaven and earth. Long Hai's power erupted. A terrifying aura swept across heaven and earth. At the same time, he unleashed another world-destroying attack. Dragon Chi Slash. It spat out a terrifying attack. Previously, it was this attack that injured Lin Xian and even split open Lin Xian's body. This time, it came out again. Facing the storm-like attacks, Lin Xian also took a deep breath. He didn't dodge at all. He was completely fighting with force. At the same time, he condensed a Taiji diagram to face the Dragon Chi Slash. Hugging with both hands, the Taiji diagram rotated in his hands, using softness to overcome hardness. The Dragon Chi Slash struck the Taiji diagram. However, it was completely enveloped by the rotating power and was unable to tear the Taiji diagram apart. In the end, it dissipated into the Taiji diagram. Even the Dragon Chi Slash couldn't hurt Lin Xian. Countless people were shocked. Taiji Slash. Lin Xian waved his hand, and the Taiji diagram rotated and drew a sharp bolt of lightning, directly slashing forward. Poof! Long Ao roared. Its tail was split open and fell down. Dragon blood once again dyed the 9 heavens red. Damn it! He was really angry. His huge body transformed into human form again, and then he attacked again. Dragon Rain 9 heavens. Wrath of the Sea God. Dragon's Kill. Long Ao began to use the dragon's great divine ability. Terrifying rain fell between heaven and earth. This was no ordinary rainwater. Every drop contained the laws of the Tao of the dragon. Tens of millions of droplets were enough to obliterate everything. Even a great sage would be destroyed in body and soul if he were to be enveloped by the dragon rain. The wrath of the sea god caused the surrounding sea to fill with water. His opponent had truly transformed into the dragon sea god. The dragon slay was even more terrifying. His dragon claw carried the aura of a fiend god. It spun rapidly and tore apart the void, aiming for Lin Xian's heart and head. Each of the 3 ultimate techniques was enough to strike fear into the hearts of the great sage. The older generation experts and the patriarch felt their blood run cold. Lin Xian took a deep breath in the face of these 3 terrifying ultimate techniques. Come. Behind him, the phantom of a sword dragon appeared and roared towards the sky. The dragon's scales on his body rose from the ground and made a clanging sound in the sky. They quickly combined to form a dragon sword. Lin Xian grabbed it. He soared into the air and fought against the 9 heavens. Zhan Long. The sword formed from the dragon scales slashed down from the sky. Everywhere it passed, everything turned to dust. This sword was just too strong. The 3 dragons' ultimate techniques were all turned to dust under this sword. Before the sword arrived, many cracks appeared on Long Ao's body like a spider. Damn. He wanted to take it head-on, but he was terrified and he couldn't help but retreat. He was actually scared off by Lin Fan. That was just too embarrassing. But facing this sword, he was finally terrified. Saving his life was more important. He retreated quickly, but it was too late. This sword covered him. His body split apart once more and he was sliced into 2. Moreover, this sword had a cold aura that could destroy everything. Was he going to die? He didn't dare to believe it. What kind of sword technique was that? One of the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty experts' pupils constricted and he hollered coldly. A great sage instantly attacked and shattered the sword energy. It turned into dragon scales and disappeared from the world. You actually dare to kill me? This expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty stood in the air and stared coldly at Lin Xian. The sword dragon illusion behind Lin Xian disappeared. He laughed. You think too much. There are so many experts here. Even the old ancestor is here. What kind of assassin can kill him? Even if you don't attack, this sword will disappear. Lin Xian was right. It was too difficult to kill the other party here. Furthermore, he didn't intend to do so. Defeating the other party in this battle was already a slap to the other party's face. How could the Dragon Palace compete with the Divine Union in the future? Long Ao, you keep saying that you will trample me under your feet. Have you done it? Reality has proven that you are just a clown. In the future, you won't have any right to be arrogant in front of me. Disappear from my sight. Otherwise, you will end up in a miserable state. Lin Xian's eyes glowed with a terrifying light as he spoke. Long Ao's blood was boiling and his soul was shaking. Not good. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty shouted angrily. How dare you destroy his Tao heart? A cold, murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Lin Xian sneered. Is he worse than me? If he can't even accept defeat, what right does he have to take another step forward? Young man, don't be too arrogant. The expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty looked gloomy. The purple dress elder and the others were also gnashing their teeth. The others were in an uproar. The outcome of this battle was really unexpected. No one had expected that the powerful Dragon Prince would be defeated by Lin Xian. Moreover, he had been defeated so miserably. How could this be? The people from the Dragon Palace were crying. Their godlike figure had been defeated. Moreover, he had been defeated by his opponent. Lan Xiu also knelt on the ground, her body trembling. She didn't even have the strength to stand up now. Her biggest support had been the Dragon Prince. However, reality had proven that even the Dragon Prince couldn't defeat Lin Xian. How could she take revenge in the future? The morale of the people from the Divine Union soared. This was great. Boss Lin was mighty. Young Master Lin was the best in the world. He was indeed the legendary Lin Wudi. Voices rang out one after another. The people from the Yi family were shocked. The eyes of the Yi family elders were also shining. Besides having the 9 yang divine body, Lin Xian also had the great dragon sword soul. In the future, this young man would definitely compete with the emperor's son. They were very confident in their Yi Wudao. Yi Wudao had a sacred body and cultivated the emperor's scripture. He would definitely be able to compete with the disciples in the future. In their opinion, Lin Xian might be a little lacking. However, they had changed their minds. Lin Xian had the great dragon sword soul, which seemed to be able to make up for the lack of the emperor's scripture. This guy is so powerful. Didn't you say that he participated in the Holy Gulf list? Why haven't I seen his name before? Big Brother Yun was shocked. Divine General Hai Yuan's eyes shone sharply. This could only mean one thing. He didn't use his real name. He used his title. It seemed like it was him, Divine General Hai Yuan thought to himself. Chapter 4897. The outcome of this battle shocked everyone. At the same time, many people were discussing it. Would the fantasy world patriarch change his mind? Previously, the patriarch had chosen Long Ao as his disciple. Now that Long Ao had been defeated, would the patriarch still accept him as a disciple according to the previous agreement? In an instant, everyone looked in that direction. The people from the 10,000 Dragon Court also frowned. The purple-clothed elder and the others were even more nervous. They were talking about the patriarch. The fantasy world patriarch's eyes flickered, and an extremely terrifying aura erupted from his eyes. He looked at Lin Xian and Long Ao below and thought for a moment before speaking coldly. He first looked at Lin Xian and said, "Young man, you're not bad. You have to walk your own path in the future." Then he looked at Long Ao. Failure was not scary. What was scary was having one's heart broken. After the banquet, follow me to the core area to cultivate. Everyone was shocked. They didn't expect the fantasy world patriarch to not change his mind. Could it be that the person in the immortal graveyard was really a curse that couldn't be broken? Long Ao was also shocked. He originally thought that he had no hope. However, now it seemed that there was still hope. He hurriedly said respectfully, "Yes, patriarch. I definitely won't lose again." He turned to look at Lin Xian. "Losing to you this time was an accident. Just you wait. The next time I meet you, I will personally take revenge." With that, he walked forward. What else did the levitation saint want to say? However, the patriarch waved his hand to stop him. He could only sigh and hope that Lin Xian could accept this result. Lin Wan also turned and left. On the way back, he received countless questioning gazes. However, his expression remained calm. So what if he didn't enter the core area? To be honest, he really didn't want to enter because the fantasy world patriarch's gaze was too terrifying. If he stayed by the fantasy world patriarch's side, his secret might be discovered. That would be troublesome. After returning, the people from the Divine Union were also nervous. They were afraid that Lin Xian wouldn't be able to hold on. Lin Xian smiled and said, "Don't look at me like that. I'm fine." Bai Susu said, "Kid, I know you're unhappy, but we'll understand." Lin Xian shook his head and smiled. He looked around and said, "Most of you are geniuses from large clans and have enjoyed all kinds of golden spoils since birth. You will be respected and receive all kinds of resources. You will even be able to reach out and those natural treasures will come to you. But I'm different from you. I rose to power in the dusty lands, and everything along the way was exchanged with my life. Throughout my journey, I have never cowered. Along the way, I have been looked down upon by countless people. But I've won again and again. I've walked from the dust to the present. I believe that I can go on. So what if the person in the immortal burial ground was a curse? I don't want to walk the path of immortals. I want to walk my own path." Lin Xian's voice was firm and resolute. The people from the Divine Union were shocked. They hadn't expected Lin Xian to have such an experience. Just thinking about it was terrifying. Their families all had some worlds as subsidiary resources. The people in those worlds were like ants in their eyes. It was basically impossible for him to grow to the same height as them. Not to mention standing in front of them and leading them. However, Lin Xian had come from such a place. How many hardships and setbacks had he experienced? Just thinking about it made their scalps go numb. At the same time, they also heaved a sigh of relief. Lin Xian had experienced too much, so this blow wouldn't be a problem at all. Big Brother Lin, we believe in you. Yes, young master will lead us all the way. The people from the Divine Union clenched their fists. Lin Xian also smiled. You believe in me, and I believe in you. I will lead you all to the top of the world. Lin Xian turned around and faced the 9 heavens. I won't lose. Then, he turned to the people beside him and smiled. I hope that the disciples of the Divine Union will never admit defeat. His voice became louder and louder, piercing through the 9 heavens and spreading across the land. At that moment, the souls of the surrounding sages trembled as they turned to look at him. What kind of bold and visionary words were these? Yi Wudao smiled. It seemed like his old friend wasn't affected at all. The 2 battle gods also nodded in satisfaction. The levitation saint also heaved a sigh of relief. On the side of the dragon palace, they frowned. The people from the 1000 Dragon Dynasty had killing intent in their eyes. This guy didn't shrink back after such a blow. Instead, he became even stronger. This person had to be eliminated quickly. Advance courageously and never admit defeat. The old ancestor whispered as his eyes flickered. Long Ao, who was beside him, was nervous. He said, Old ancestor, please believe in me. I won't lose again next time. I will defeat him. The fantasy world ancestor waved his sleeves and left with Long Ao. The banquet also ended. Long Ao arrived at the core area and felt the terrifying power inside. He took a deep breath. The fantasy world ancestor brought him to a pagoda and said, This place is filled with resources. There are endless resources and power here. You can cultivate here. Thank you, old ancestor. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Long Ao was excited while the fantasy world ancestor stood with his hands behind his back. Let's hope so. Your talent is unparalleled, but you are too arrogant and need to be tempered. Previously, when the Dragon Prince came to find me, he mentioned you and told me to accept you as my disciple. Now that I've observed you, you are indeed not bad. Cultivate well and don't let me and the Dragon Prince down. So it was the Dragon Prince's suggestion. Long Ao clenched his fists. If it wasn't for the Dragon Prince, the disciple this time would have been Lin Xian. He took a deep breath. Although he had also become the Crown Prince, he and the Dragon Prince were not even comparable to each other. This gap had once made him despair. However, later on, he swore that one day he would catch up with the Dragon Prince and make this gap smaller and smaller. As for that, Lin Xian, just you wait. With the resources of the core area, my cultivation speed will be faster than before. When the time comes, you will die without a doubt. He would definitely get his revenge for what had happened today. On the other side, the guests also left one after another. The news of this banquet would spread all over the world. The people of the 1000 Dragon Court had cold expressions. Although there were twists and turns, the final result was satisfactory. Long Ao had become the old ancestor's disciple. It seemed like they had to go back and discuss how to get rid of Lin Xian. At the thought of this, they also left. The people of the Divine Union also returned to their spiritual abodes to cultivate. The result of this battle was that more and more people wanted to join the Divine Union. The strength that Lin Xian had displayed was too strong. He had already surpassed the Dragon Prince. Lin Xian's last sentence of never giving up and moving forward courageously gave them endless hope. These people were eager to join. For a moment, Bai Su Su and the others were all smiling. Chapter 4898. Divine General Haiyuan stared at Lin Xian nonstop, which shocked Lin Xian. Could it be that this divine general had discovered his secret? He asked, Seniors, why are you looking for me? Divine General Yungu said, We're actually here to look for Mad God. However, we can't see him. Your relationship with Mad God shouldn't be ordinary, right? Tell Mad God to hurry to the Sacred Abyss Tower. We need his help with something. Oh, what is it? Lin Xian was surprised. Divine General Yungu said, You won't know even if I tell you. Kid, you'll know when you reach Mad God's level. Divine General Haiyuan also patted Lin Xian's shoulder. I have high hopes for you. Maybe you'll know soon. He revealed a meaningful smile. Lin Xian felt more and more that they must have discovered his identity, but they didn't say anything. It was obvious that they were on his side to help him. Therefore he nodded. I understand what you two seniors mean. I'll send a message now. He should be there in a few days. The two divine generals left Lin Xian and returned to the divine abode to organize some things. This time, more than 200 people joined. Lin Xian saw these people and encouraged them to cultivate well. He left the rest to Bai Susu, Hong Yi, and the dark red divine dragon. He consolidated his cultivation and adjusted his state to its peak. Then he went to the sacred abyss tower and covered his body with demonic qi. Lin Xian once again turned into the demonic mad god and arrived at the sacred abyss tower. He appeared again. Countless people exclaimed, "Look, it's Mad God. He's here again." They heard that he killed many Dragon Palace experts at the Dao Sect's sacred assembly. He even provoked them. Dragon Palace was so angry that they vomited blood. They didn't expect him to appear so soon. He's not afraid of being hunted down by Dragon Palace experts. Dragon Palace is no match for him. Someone laughed. Someone shook their head. Don't forget that Dragon Palace is backed by the Thousand Dragon Court. They'll definitely send experts to hunt him down. While everyone was discussing amongst themselves, Lin Xian had already entered the sacred abyss tower. He came to a large hall in the sacred Gulf Tower, where several figures were waiting. Lin Xian had seen two of them before. They were Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Brother Yun. The others were also thinking about the immortal generals. When they saw the demon-like figure behind them, they all raised the corners of their mouths into smiles. You're finally here. Lin Xian cupped his fists and looked around. Then he walked over. He looked a little arrogant, but he didn't care. Mad God had to be arrogant. Otherwise, he wouldn't live up to his name. The other immortal generals had also heard of his deeds, so they didn't care about his attitude. It was fine as long as the other party was strong. Big Brother Yun, the divine general, is gone. Come here. Speaking of Mad God, you're here. Divine General Ocean Abyss smiled as well. Lin Xian said, I received news that you are all looking for me. I don't know why. It's a good thing. Divine General Hai Yuan said that we're going to a very mysterious place, so we need your help. Lin Xian was shocked. What place? If even the immortal generals can't do it, I'm afraid I can't do anything. Indeed, although Lin Xian was strong, these immortal generals were even scarier. Divine General Brother Yun said that it's not like that. This time, we're exploring ancient ruins. It's very mysterious. Some places have cultivation restrictions. Therefore, we can't do anything in that place. We can only ask experts like you for help. Lin Xian was able to enter the Saint Origin Board, which meant that he was at most in the early stage of the Great Sage. Therefore, this level of cultivation could be put to good use in certain situations. And these immortal generals' cultivation had long surpassed the early stage of the Great Sage. Therefore, they couldn't do anything in some places. Lin Xian nodded. He understood. He wondered what kind of secret realm could pique the interest of these divine generals. It's definitely not an ordinary ruin. Divine General Brother Yun smiled. Do you know about the Heavenly Court? Lin Xian was shocked. Of course he knew. Could this ruin be related to the Heavenly Court? That's right. Kid, you guessed right. It's indeed related to the Heavenly Court. It's a ruin of the Heavenly Court. And it was only discovered recently. Therefore, the news hasn't spread too far. We have to hurry. Lin Xian was shocked. Was it really a ruin of the Heavenly Court? I wonder if Black Mountain will appear? In the last Heavenly Court ruin, Black Mountain had obtained the Sky Lantern, and Lin Xian had obtained the Heaven Swallowing Jar. Later, he found out that it was only half of the Heaven Swallowing Jar. He still lacked a lid. He wondered if he could find that lid this time. If he really found it, it would be a complete Heaven Swallowing Jar, an extreme Tao. Even if he couldn't find it, it would be great if he could obtain some of the ultimate techniques of the Heavenly Court. Therefore, Lin Xian was very interested. He said that since this was the case, there was no time to lose. Let's begin. Divine General Brother Yun smiled. There's no hurry. There are still some people. Lin Xian waited. Indeed, it didn't take long for more people to arrive. The first to arrive were two people. One was dressed in green, the other in purple. Both of them were extremely beautiful. They had swords on their backs. According to the introduction, Lin Xian knew that these two beautiful women were called Qing Hong and Zi Hong. These two weren't ordinary people. They were famous. They were known as the Purple and Green Twin Swords. Their names were in the top 1,000 of the Saint Origin leaderboard. Their ranking was much higher than his. After these two, another person came. It was a man with snow-white hair. It danced in the wind, and its eyes were actually white as well, making it look extremely mysterious. That technique? Lin Xian was shocked. His eyes flickered with a golden radiance. The purple and green twin swords also had serious expressions. They knew this person. In fact, his ranking was higher than theirs. Of course, they were confident that they could defeat him with their twin swords combination. This person was called Yan Ling. His ultimate move was execution of words. It was very terrifying. Now that everyone was here, Divine General Hai Yuan smiled. The few of them looked at Lin Xian. Qing Hong said, "You must be that mad god. I wonder how strong you are? Do you want to experience it?" Lin Xian looked at her and smiled. Qing Hong stepped forward and sword chi exploded. She couldn't ask for more. "Sister, please be quiet for a while." Zi Hong walked over and said. Then she looked at Lin Xian. "Mad god, I'm sorry. My sister's temper is like that." "No worries." Lin Xian nodded. Beside him, Yan Yanling smiled. Qing Hong turned her head. Her eyes were shining. "What are you laughing at? Are you doubting my strength?" Yanling shook her head. She had heard of the angry fairy's name. Today, she was indeed worthy of her reputation. Qing Hong was furious. "Whoever dares to talk nonsense outside, I'll kill him." Lin Xian also shook his head. This girl was indeed crazy. While Lin Xian was joking, another group of people walked out of the hall. Chapter 4899. Hearing this, Lin Xian and the others turned around. In the next moment, they saw a divine general walking over. Behind him, there were also three figures. "Greetings, Divine General." Qing Hong and the others cupped their fists and bowed. The three figures on the opposite side also bowed. Then, their gazes clashed in the air. Terrifying thunderbolts burst out, tearing the void apart. Divine General Hai Yuan frowned slightly but didn't say anything. Lin Xian was surprised. He stared at the figure in front of him. It was a woman with an extremely beautiful face. She was even more beautiful than Qing Hong and Zi Hong. Not only that, but she also exuded a biting cold aura. She was like an ice goddess that kept people thousands of miles away. Qing Hong and Zi Hong were also sizing her up. Then they said, "So beautiful." Qing Hong snorted, and Zi Hong's eyes sparkled. The Ice Mountain Fairy in front glanced at them expressionlessly. However, when she saw Lin Xian, her body trembled and her pupils constricted. Something unbelievable seemed to have happened. Lin Xian looked at her and smiled. "How should I address this fairy?" He walked forward. There were two other figures beside the Ice Mountain Fairy. One of them was wearing a black robe and had a pair of black wings on his back. He seemed to be standing in the dark and looked very mysterious. The other person beside him had a terrifying aura. It was as if his every move could split the sky and earth. "This guy is really bold." Yanling chuckled. However, Qing Hong snorted. He would be in trouble. He knew that the Ice Mountain Fairy in front of him had also just challenged the Holy Gulf list not long ago. More importantly, she was indeed very cold. No matter who it was, she would ignore them and was known as the Ice Mountain. If Mad God went to greet her, he would definitely be rejected and might even be beaten up. The Dark Shadow expert frowned and sneered. "Could get lost. This is not a place for you." The other man with a terrifying aura also snorted and stared at Lin Xian. They had already seen the Ice Mountain Fairy. How could they let others come before they even got their hands on her? Lin Xian glanced at Dark Shadow and sneered. "I'm talking to the Ice Mountain Fairy. It's none of your business. Get lost." "What did you say?" That person was enraged. He took a step forward and spread out the wings on his back. His body emitted a monstrous dragon aura. His name was Shadow, and he was a member of the Shadow Dragon clan. The man with the terrifying aura beside him also turned solemn. His body also emitted the aura of the Tao of Dragon. The two sides looked like they were about to fight, but at that moment, footsteps could be heard from afar. A woman wearing divine general armor quickly walked over. Beside it, similarly, 3 figures appeared. "Everyone is here," the divine general Wind Snow said with a smile as he looked around. "You're a little late," Divine General Yungu said. Divine General Qian Cheng also snorted coldly. "Since everyone was here, let's begin." "Start what?" Everyone was stunned. Divine General Qian Chen, who was the second to enter, said, "There are too many people. Let's eliminate one." Qing Hong, Zi Hong, and the others' expressions changed when they heard this. The Shadow Dragon and the other expert with a terrifying aura revealed sinister grins. They all stared at Lin Xian, but soon, they couldn't laugh anymore. Because Lin Xian was already chatting with the Ice Mountain Goddess. The Ice Mountain Goddess even showed a beautiful smile to Lin Xian. How was that possible? Shadow went crazy. Her title of Ice Mountain Goddess was not fake. She didn't care about any top geniuses. Why would she smile at this kid in front of him? In addition, Qing Hong, Yan Ling, and the others were also stunned. Even the 3 new top geniuses were surprised. They all stared at Lin Xian. Is this guy an expert of the Demon Tao? Who is he? Wind Snow also smiled. Let's introduce him. As soon as he finished speaking, the 3 figures beside him stood out. One of them had a surging aura and was full of heroism. He also had a pair of wings on his back. He said loudly, "Peng Wanli of the Tianpeng clan." Next to him was a person with a cold expression. His voice also had a trace of piercing coldness, like a knife. His name was He Jiuxiao. The last person was a little strange. He sat on the back of a goldfish and was dozing off with his chin in his hand. Hearing Divine General Wind Snow's words, he opened his eyes and said, "Xiao Xiao, you're right. Xiao Zhuang." After saying that, he closed his eyes and went back to sleep. After these 3 people were introduced, Qing Hong and the other 2 also stood out and said their names. Shadow then walked out. Another man with a strong aura also walked out. He was called Zhu Lai. He was an expert of the Torch Dragon clan. The Ice Mountain Goddess looked around and said coldly, "True. That's right. This woman was Xue Qi. She was the woman Lin Xian met in the Thousand Mountain Cave. Later, with Lin Xian's help, she obtained the 9-yin divine body. Later, after Lin Xian left, Xue Qi also went out to train. There had been no news of her since then. They didn't expect her to come here and enter the Holy Gulf Tower. The others were thinking and sizing each other up. They found that these people were all top experts. Moreover, they had a special characteristic. They were ranked in the top 1,000 of the Saint Origin Board. However, they were not ranked above 800. The highest ranking was the sleeping Xiao Zhuang, who was currently ranked 810. As for the last one, they all stared at Lin Xian. Shadow said coldly, "Kid, tell me your name." Lin Xian glanced at him and said coldly, "Mad God." So, he was the Mad God. Many people were surprised by this name. It was a name that resounded like thunder in their ears. However, it was their first time seeing him. Zhu Lai snorted. "So, you're the Mad God. You're only ranked in the top 1,000. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of me?" Although Lin Xian had reached the top 1,000 3 times, these people were all ranked in the top 1,000. Therefore, when they faced Lin Xian, they looked down on him. Lin Xian didn't care. Firstly, he didn't participate in the challenge many times. Secondly, the top 1,000 wasn't his limit. He didn't use the heaven-devouring jar or the great dragon sword spirit. Otherwise, he would have to use his name first. Lin Xian frowned. He found that other than An Ying and Zhu Lai, there was another person who was hostile to him. There was even killing intent. Although it was hidden deep, Lin Xian's eye technique was amazing. He found out in an instant. He turned his head and looked, and his frown deepened. He found that the person who wanted to kill him was a divine general. It was Divine General Qian Chen. "Mad God, come over first," Divine General Hai Yuan said. Lin Xian smiled at Xue Qi. They would talk later. Then he turned and left. He had already recognized the other party. Xueqi also recognized him. Their physiques were too godly. One had the 9 yang divine physique, and the other had the 9 yin divine physique. They were the opposite of heaven and earth. Chapter 4900. Lin Xian returned to Immortal General Haiyuan's side. Immortal General Haiyuan transmitted his voice to Lin Xian. Be careful. Qian Chun supports the Dragon Prince. You slapped the Dragon Palace's face, so he must be unhappy with you. Lin Xian understood. No wonder the other party wanted to kill him. So they were the Dragon Prince's men. Immortal General Qian Chun said again. There are too many people. Remove one. As soon as he said that, everyone's face changed. Remove who? No one was willing. After all, they were going to the ruins of the Heavenly Court. The Heavenly Court had a long history. Not only in ancient times, it was said that it had appeared in ancient times. And it was said that the Heavenly Court had been destroyed more than once, but it had been rebuilt. The most recent one was the collapse 50,000 years ago. Now that they found the ruins of the Heavenly Court again, what kind of opportunities and treasures would there be? They were full of anticipation. No one was willing to leave. An Ing stood out and said, Isn't it simple? Based on the ranking, the last one to leave. After saying that, he stared at Lin Xian with a cold smile. I agree. Immortal General Qian Chen nodded. Because Mad God's ranking was at the bottom, which meant that he had to be eliminated. This way, it would be a small revenge. They would deal with him in the future. However, Immortal General Haiyuan frowned. Lin Xian snorted. What a joke. Could the ranking prove everything? Why not? Zhu Lai also stood out and said, It was very difficult to increase one's ranking on the Saint Origin board. Would you hide your strength if you had it? Did I hide my strength? You'll know when you try. Lin Xian looked at him and sneered. Peng Wanli and the others were watching and didn't say anything. They naturally knew the grudge between the two sides. Mad God slapped the Dragon Palace's face. That was not giving face to the Dragon Prince. Immortal General Qian Chen, as the Dragon Prince's man, how could he not take revenge? And they were Kunpingzi's men, so they naturally hoped that the two sides would fight. It would be best if both sides suffered. At this moment, Immortal General Wind Snow smiled. Since both sides are not convinced, why don't we have a fight? The loser will be eliminated. What a good idea. An Ing also took a step forward. If you're not convinced, come out and fight me. I'll let you know the difference between us. An Ing was very confident. His ranking was 950th. The other side had an extra 50 players. However, every increase in rank was extremely difficult. With a difference of 50 ranks, the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. He could easily crush the other party. The others knew this, so they all looked at Lin Xian. Would the other party dare to accept the challenge? Many people guessed that Lin Xian would not accept the challenge. After all, the gap between them was too big. However, Lin Xian only laughed. Do you want to die? I'll fulfill your wish. This fellow is really arrogant. Qing Hong was shocked, and then she snorted coldly. He was too reckless. On the Snow Wind Divine General's side, Peng Wanli and the others all frowned. Could it be that Mad God had another trump card? Zhu Lai sneered coldly, while Xueqi shook her head. He wouldn't lose. Damn it, Shadow was furious. He didn't know what was so good about Mad God. Why did the Ice Mountain Goddess Xueqi change into a completely different person when she saw him? He didn't know that the two of them were already Dao companions. If he knew, he would probably be angered to death. Shadow sneered. I'll make you regret this. He took a step forward, and his aura exploded, sweeping through the heavens and earth. The people around all exclaimed in surprise. He was about to reach the Great Sage Realm. Qian Chen also nodded. Very good, he was already one step into the Great Sage Realm. He should be much stronger than before. Peng Wanli and the others were also shocked. They didn't expect An Ing to be hiding his cultivation. This Mad God was really unlucky. Crane Jiuxiao sneered. He said that Xiao Zhuang had been dozing off, as if he wasn't interested in the upcoming battle. An Ing sneered. Ever since my cultivation improved, I've been hiding it. Today, I'll let you experience the power of a half-step great sage realm. Dragon blood appeared on his body, suppressing the 9 heavens. The surrounding people all felt a suppression from his bloodline. Under the countless gazes, an Ing waved his hand, and a black shadow appeared. It turned into a shadow dragon and flew over quickly. Peng Wanli and the others took a deep breath. It seemed that an Ing was arrogant, but he wasn't careless at all. Facing Mad God, he used an ultimate technique. If this shadow was restricted, even the great sage would be sealed and wouldn't be able to fight back. Was it the power of the seal? Su Chen's eyes flashed, and then he sneered. His eyes flashed with a cold light. Let's see if your sealing power is stronger, or my suppressing power is more terrifying. Reincarnation tablet. A pair of godlike eyes appeared, and his gaze turned into a tablet that constantly intertwined. With the power of reincarnation, it suppressed forward. Boom, boom. Lin Xian didn't attack the shadow. Instead, he attacked an Ing. At the same time, he didn't dodge and allowed the shadow to envelop him. With a boom, he was forced back 2 steps, and countless seals appeared on his body. Great, I'm excited. An Ing sneered. The others were also shocked. Was the gap really that big? The difference of 50 ranks was enough to make Mad God unable to fight back. God General Qian Chen also sneered. Mad God General Qian Chen was just SOS, but in the next moment, his pupils constricted. Not good, he wanted to warn them, but it was too late. The reincarnation tablet fell, enveloping an Ing. An Ing was shocked. Damn, what is this? Block it for me. He waved his hand, and it turned into 2 daggers that sliced through everything. But this was a soul-level attack, and he couldn't dodge it at all. In an instant he was suppressed. He felt his soul shake as if it was about to split open. His entire body knelt on the ground. With a crack, his soul knelt on the ground. What's going on? Is an Ing injured too? What kind of eye technique was that? Mad God actually has such a terrifying eye technique? Why didn't I know about it before? One after another, voices rang out. They all knew about the legend of Mad God. He was arrogant. His demonic energy was enough to tear apart the 9 heavens. In their eyes, he was a close combat expert. But now, Mad God used an eye technique. No wonder an Ing couldn't dodge it. No one had expected it. An Ing roared, and the aura of the Tao of Dragon appeared. His soul escaped, but his face had turned pale. In that instant, his soul had been injured. Damn it, and Ying's expression was cold. He mobilized the power of laws to repair it. At the same time, he raised his head and stared ahead. I'm going to make you die without a burial ground. A group of shadow daggers appeared in his hand, and he charged forward. In an instant he was behind Lin Xian. Die. Chapter 4901. Not good. Zi Hong exclaimed. Qing Hong also snorted. Mad God was too careless. Although his soul had injured the other party, his body was also sealed. He could not move at all and could only be slaughtered. It was all over. An Ing snorted, and 2 daggers struck Lin Xian's body. A sonorous sound was heard, but the smile on his face disappeared. His shadow dagger was bounced off, and a crack even appeared on one of his daggers. How was that possible? His opponent's physique was too terrifying. At this moment, Lin Xian, who was in front of him, turned around and sneered. Your seal isn't that great either. As he spoke, an extremely terrifying sword chi rushed out of his body and shattered the seal. The other party's seal was indeed very strong and could seal the great sage, but the dragon sword soul in Lin Xian's body was enough to destroy everything. A mere seal was nothing to be afraid of. How was that possible? How did you do it? And Ing was so frightened that he took a step back. However, in the next moment, a black palm grabbed at his head. Damn it. He waved his dagger again to block. The dagger struck the black demonic hand with an earth-shattering sound, and sparks flew. However, the black hand did not stop at all and directly slapped down. An Ing teleported. An Ing roared angrily and quickly used a peerless movement technique to narrowly dodge the attack. However, his chi and blood were still rolling. Damn it. Next, his entire body merged into the darkness. He spread his wings and his speed was extremely fast. He was erratic. As a member of the Shadow Dragon clan, speed and movement techniques were his forte. With such speed, he launched a destructive attack on Lin Xian. In an instant, thousands of thorns attacked Lin Xian, causing the void around Lin Xian to constantly shatter. He should be injured now. However, a large hand reached out and directly enveloped the entire world, making it impossible for an Ying to escape. With a boom, he was sent flying by a punch. Damn it! Endless dragon patterns appeared on An Ying's body. He turned into a ferocious dragon. His power increased once again. Lin Xian sneered. Your dragon blood is really trash. Let me show you what real dragon blood is. Lin Xian took a step forward, and countless phantoms appeared behind him. In the end, it condensed into a figure. It was a black dragon with a terrifying demonic aura on its face. He was like a demon god. The dragon tail flung out like a demonic god sword, piercing through the air. How could this be? You also have the aura of the Tao of Dragons. Are you one of the dragons? An Ying went completely mad. He was sent flying and his body was torn into pieces. One of the heads roared. "Ant, you don't deserve to know." Lin Xian stepped on the other party's head with one foot. With a light push, countless cracks appeared on the other party's head. "Stop!" Divine General Qian Chen shouted coldly as his face darkened. Lin Xian sent his opponent flying with a kick, then stood with his hands behind his back. Now you know who the trash is, right? If anyone is going to be eliminated, it should be him. So powerful. Qing Hong was dumbfounded. This was completely different from what she had imagined. On the other side, Peng Wanli and the others took a deep breath. It seemed that Mad God had indeed hidden his strength. Xue Qi's lips curled into a smile. How could her husband be weak? He had the 9 yang divine body. An Ying deserved it. Lin Xian looked at An Ying and sneered. You've already lost and been eliminated. Hurry up and get lost. You don't have the right to stand here. Damn it. An Ying gritted his teeth. He was about to vomit blood, but he had said it himself. He couldn't go back on his words now. He looked at Divine General Qian Chen, hoping that he would let him go. Divine General Qian Chen's face was cold. Useless trash. Go back and cultivate in seclusion. This is too embarrassing. He originally wanted to suppress Mad God and even suppress him to take revenge for the Dragon Palace. But now, he had been slapped in the face. An Ying didn't dare to say anything and ran away. In an instant, only 2 people were left on Qian Chen's side. Is this enough? Divine General Hai Yuan smiled. Qian Chen was so arrogant. Now, there was one less person. Damn it. Divine General Qian Chen's face was cold. But at this moment, Xue Qi stood up and said, "Not yet." What's going on? The surrounding people were stunned and looked at each other. Is this Ice Beauty going to fight? Xue Qi smiled and said, I'll leave Divine General Qian Chen's team and join Divine General Hai Yuan's team. Is this okay? What? Everyone was stunned. Divine General Qian Chen's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. She wanted to leave him and join the other team? Hai Yuan was stunned. Then he smiled. Sure, we welcome her. Very good. Xue Qi walked forward and came to Mad God's side with a beautiful smile. Divine General Hai Yuan and Peng Wanli were stunned. It seemed that her joining had something to do with Mad God. They must have known each other for a long time and had an unusual relationship. Peng Wanli was shocked. Who was this Mad God? How could he gain the favor of the Ice Fairy? Divine General Feng Shui narrowed his eyes. Even Xiao Zhuang, who had been dozing off, raised his head. A mysterious light appeared in his eyes, and he looked at Lin Xian and Xue Qi with his dreamy eyes. He was shocked, but then, the corners of his mouth curled up. The 9 yin and 9 yang have reappeared in the world? Interesting. It's getting more and more interesting. This time I can have a good dream. Then he smiled and closed his eyes. It seemed like he had fallen into a deep sleep. Hai Yuan's team was very strong. Only one person was left on Qian Chen's side. His face was terrifyingly dark. Damn it. I have to find another person. He raised his hand as if he wanted to summon another person. Lin Xian looked at this scene and smiled. Divine General, Didn't you say that there would be one more person? Why do you still need to find another? Qian Chen roared. That was before. Now, I'm changing my mind. Don't you agree? Are you challenging me? Lin Xian sneered and didn't reply. However, there was a trace of disdain in his eyes. Soon, a figure walked over from the distance and came to Qian Chen's side. He looked ahead and said coldly, Iceberg, you dare to betray us? Aren't you afraid of going to hell? Xue Qi snorted coldly. She raised her hand and took off the ice bracelet on her wrist and threw it over. Then she said, Our agreement is cancelled. I'll return the divine ice bracelet to you. Damn it. Qian Chen gritted his teeth and put away the divine ice bracelet. It was an ice element treasure, a great sage artifact. He had spent this amount of money to invite the other party over. He didn't expect her to go back on her word. Lin Xian said, Don't worry, I'll give you a better one in the future. Chapter 4902. The newcomer's body seemed to be made of metal, and it emanated an ice-cold radiance. It also emanated a terrifying and gloomy aura. Lin Xian furrowed his brows. He felt that this person wasn't ordinary. This aura was very similar to his death law. If you want to fight, I'll do it. He walked out. However, Xue Qi said, Don't worry, I can still deal with it. She walked out, looked ahead, and said coldly, Flying Corpse King, you are no match for me. The person in front of her was a corpse, and he had cultivated himself. Moreover, he had regained his intelligence. He had reached the peak of the Saint King realm, and he was extremely terrifying. He was called the Flying Corpse King. The Flying Corpse King sneered coldly when he heard this. That was in the past. Now, you are no match for me. He took a step forward, and in the next moment, a terrifying aura of death erupted from his body, and it spread out in all directions, engulfing the land. Everyone felt the call of the god of death. Qing Hong's pupils contracted, and she exclaimed in surprise, The great sage has made a breakthrough. Even Divine General Hai Yuan was taken aback. The Flying Corpse King was already very terrifying, and he was ranked higher than the Dark Shadow King, who was ranked 930. Now that he had made a breakthrough and reached the great sage, his ranking would probably rise even higher. He wondered if the Ice Mountain Goddess would be able to withstand it. Xue Qi walked out and said, Fine, I'll let you see my true power. She waved her hand, and a terrifying black ice spread out in all directions. The 9-in divine body was displayed. She thrust out her jade-like hand, and it seemed to have turned into a world of ice, which pressed down from the sky. What a terrifying aura! What kind of ice is this? The people in the surroundings were all surprised. Divine General Wind Snow squinted her eyes. She was also an expert of the ice element, but even she was shocked. The ice used by this person should be one of the legendary ice. She didn't expect that this Ice Mountain Goddess's body was so mysterious. The Flying Corpse King also furrowed his brows. Was he hiding his power? No wonder. However, so what? Let's fight. He waved his hand and his palm stretched out. It didn't carry any aura or temperature. It seemed like the hand of the god of death from hell. However, when it got close to Xue Qi, it was covered in ice, and it was frozen in midair. This was truly unbelievable. Peng Wanli sighed in admiration. The Flying Corpse King had an extremely strong aura of death. Anyone who was touched by him would have their life taken away and turned into white bones. But now, the other party couldn't even get close to him. How was he supposed to fight? Yan Ling, however, shook his head. He said that it was not certain. Other than the extremely terrifying aura of death, the Flying Corpse King's physique was also unbelievably strong. I heard that he seemed to have refined his body into a peerless weapon. Just like what the heaven-devouring great emperor had done in the past, he had refined himself. The fact that the heaven-devouring great monarch had refined himself into the heaven-devouring jar was something that only existed in legends. Everyone knew this, but they didn't expect that there would be someone who would follow suit. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He could feel that his opponent's physique was indeed very strong. It was as if the Grim Reaper had been resurrected. Crack, crack. The black palm that was sealed in ice gave off a terrifying light. Following this, The ice broke apart and the palm slammed towards him once again. The surrounding world of ice and frost was completely shattered. The Flying Corpse King said, "Iceberg, if this is all you have, I'm afraid you won't be my opponent." As he spoke, boundless aura of death appeared around him. It turned into the law of death and engulfed the surroundings. The law of death condensed and formed a hell. He seemed like a god of hell that had just walked out of hell. His ice-cold gaze also turned gray. It carried an ice-cold aura. It was the eye of death. With a roar, the Flying Corpse King quickly charged forward, turning into a bolt of black lightning. In an instant, it rushed to the front. As he waved his arm, it seemed as if he had turned into a peerless saint artifact. As he waved his arm, the whole world started shattering. Not good. That iceberg is in danger. When Zihong saw this scene, she cried out in alarm. Everyone thought that Xueqi would retreat. After all, she wasn't a match for such a powerful physique. However, what surprised them was that Xueqi didn't retreat at all. She faced the lightning-like Grim Reaper. She also slammed her palm forward. Boom, boom. Her palm turned into an ice-cold light, and it kept contending with her opponent's physique. When the two of them collided, it was as if 100,000 claps of thunder had erupted. Soon after, the two of them retreated. What's going on? He unexpectedly blocked it. Divine General Qianqing didn't dare to believe this. It must be known that the Flying Corpse King had already refined his physique into a weapon, and its might wasn't any weaker than a Great Sage artifact. In fact, a Great Sage artifact was even more terrifying. This was because it was a weapon that possessed intelligence. This meant that Xueqi wouldn't be able to contend against it unless she also took out a Great Sage artifact. But now, his opponent was able to contend against a Great Sage artifact with just his physique. What kind of physique was this? Was it the Starry Sky Legends physique? Or was it the Ancient Desolate physique? He didn't dare to believe this. It seemed like everyone had underestimated his opponent. Lin Xian curled the corners of his mouth into a smile. The 9 Yin Divine physique wasn't any weaker than the 9 Yang Divine physique. It was a powerful physique that could contend against a saint physique. If his opponent was a great emperor who had refined himself into a weapon, no one would be able to contend against him. However, his opponent was just a Great Sage artifact, and he had refined himself into a weapon. Did he want to contend against a divine physique? What kind of joke was this? Just wait and see. These people would soon be stupefied. The Flying Corpse King's expression became ice-cold. Although he was just a corpse, he already had a soul. Although he didn't fear pain, his opponent's ice-cold aura still caused his soul to shiver. It was as if his soul was about to be frozen. Moreover, he discovered that his physique's movements were becoming slower and slower. The ice-cold aura was gathering in his body, and once it reached a certain level, it would explode out and freeze him, turning him into an ice sculpture. He wouldn't be able to escape anymore. He looked up at the sky and roared like a demon. At this moment, the black aura in his body turned into black flames, which burned unceasingly and incinerated the ice-cold aura. His hands seemed to have turned into the death god's sword, and they carried the aura of wind and lightning as they slashed forward. Xueqi still didn't fear him, and she waved her jade-like hands, causing the whole world to turn into ice and snow. A terrifying ice-cold aura engulfed her opponent. Countless ice-cold swords appeared in the world, and each of them was as big as a palm. They covered the sky and the earth, and they seemed capable of penetrating everything. Both sides exchanged 100 moves, 200 moves, 300 moves. At this moment, Xueqi became braver and braver as she fought, while the Flying Corpse King's movements became slower and slower. In the end, it seemed as if he had become a snail. If his opponent hadn't refined him into a weapon, he would have already died. Chapter 4903. Do you still want to continue? Xueqi asked calmly as she looked at the ice sculpture in front of her. Divine General Qianqing's expression became unsightly. He didn't expect that his opponent would be so powerful. Even the Flying Corpse King, who had become a great sage, wasn't a match for him. Moreover, if the Flying Corpse King was injured, he wouldn't have enough people to deal with him. Hence, he snorted coldly. Xueqi waved her hand, and the ice melted. The Flying Corpse King walked out. His body was ashen because of the ice. If he had stayed there for a long time, he would have been severely injured. The Flying Corpse King looked at Xueqi with a trace of fear in his eyes. As expected of the legendary Ice Mountain. This time I lost. However, I will get my revenge in the future. Divine General Hai Yuan walked out and said, "Since this is the case, let's get ready and set off." Everyone took a deep breath. They were going to the Heavenly Court's ruins. They didn't dare to be careless. This was because there might be other mysterious experts besides them. After all, not long ago, news of the Heavenly Court's revival had spread from Taiching Ancient City. They might even run into the experts left behind by the Heavenly Court this time. Everyone returned to their private rooms and started cultivating. They adjusted their condition to their peak. Xueqi went directly to Lin Xian's private room. Their bodies complemented each other, and they formed a perfect Tai Chi. Their auras were also increasing rapidly. 3 days later, Lin Xian and Lin Xian opened their eyes with a smile on their faces. He didn't expect that his strength would have a small breakthrough in the past 3 days. It was really surprising. Outside, Divine General Hai Yuan and the others started gathering. A group of people walked out. Damn it! What's going on? When Divine General Qianchen sensed that Lin Xian and Xueqi's auras had become more profound, he was stunned. On the other side, Divine General Wind Snow was also surprised. What did those two experience in the past 3 days? It was really too amazing. Divine General Hai Yuan and Big Brother Yun smiled. This was because Lin Xian and Xueqi were on their side. The stronger they were, the more help they could provide to them. The place where the Heavenly Court ruins appeared this time is still Taiching Ancient City, so we have to teleport there. The group walked into the sacred Gulf Tower and activated the teleportation array. The 2 ancient cities were passed down from the primordial era. They were extremely ancient, and the distance between the 2 ancient cities was also very far. If they flew, it would take too long, so they teleported directly. After locking on to their location, the formation flickered, and the group vanished from sight. When they reappeared, they were already in the void. They were surrounded by boundless mountains, and there was a black shadow in the distance. It was the Grand Clarity Ancient City. It was the first time for many people to come to Taiching Ancient City because it was already very vast. This Grand Clarity Ancient City was also extraordinary. It was vast and boundless, like a vast world. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Back again? This was equivalent to revisiting an old place. He was very familiar with some of the places. The group of people flew into the distance and quickly entered Taiching Ancient City. At this moment, the ancient city was even more lively than before. Other than them, there were people from other places and even other worlds. It seemed like the news had spread. Divine General Wind Snow frowned. Divine General Hai Yuan also said, "Then we have to speed up. After all, our foundation isn't here. So even if it's an away battle, it's better to collect information first. Leave this matter to us." Divine General Wind Snow smiled. Then, she looked at a person behind her. "Xiao Zhuang, stop sleeping." The figure sitting on the goldfish opened his eyes and said, "I know. Give me a day. At dawn the next day, you will get the information you want." Divine General Wind Snow believed in Xiao Zhuang's ability. Lin Xian and the others were surprised. He felt a mysterious aura from the other party, which should be related to soul power. Moreover, the other party had been sleeping. Could it be related to dreams? Thinking of this, Lin Xian remembered that he had met a person before, the Dream Eater Wolf. This guy had always been very low-key. God knows how many dreams he had devoured. The group of people walked forward and prepared to settle down first. Boom boom. At this moment, a loud sound came from afar. Everyone turned their heads and saw chariots flying across the sky one after another, carrying an extremely terrifying aura. The chariots were also powerhouses, and those demonic beasts were running between heaven and earth. They looked at Lin Xian and shouted coldly, "Get out of the way. Don't block the way." As they spoke, they threw out their palms. At the same time, the demonic beasts pulling the chariots roared at the sky and shot out terrifying lightning. Divine General Hai Yuan and the others turned their heads, and their faces instantly darkened. Someone dared to attack them? Divine General Wind Snow snorted coldly, and with a flick of his finger, a world of ice and snow appeared in front of him. Its power was even more terrifying than Xueqi's. It couldn't be helped, as Xueqi was still a sage king. Divine General Wind Snow was at the late stage of the Great Sage Realm, and the gap between their realms was too big. If Xueqi could reach the late stage of the Great Sage Realm, her ice power would definitely be more terrifying than that of a divine general. The magical powers in the sky were frozen, and the pupils of the powerhouse in front of them shrank. He didn't have time to escape, and he, the demonic beasts, and the chariots were all frozen. It wasn't only the first chariot, but it also spread in all directions. Countless people in Taiching Ancient City were shocked, and they looked up. Heavens! That was the chariot of Myriad Transformations sect, right? Someone actually dared to attack it directly. In fact, it was frozen in an instant. Who are these people? Which family and sect did they belong to? When it was the fifth chariot, a cold shout finally came from inside. Terrifying talismans swept between heaven and earth, blocking the ice and snow. At the same time, an old man walked out from inside. I wonder what kind of divine being he is? I'm the Myriad Transformations sect, the Myriad Transformations saint. The ice and snow between heaven and earth melted, and the law of this old man could dissolve everything. This was the ultimate technique of Myriad Transformations sect. How dare you, Myriad Transformation Gate? You even dare to scold us? Divine General Wind Snow said coldly. Beside him, Pengwanli also stood out and shouted coldly, "We are from Holy Abyss Ancient City, Holy Abyss Tower." As soon as these words came out, the surrounding people were in an uproar. In front of them, the Myriad Transformations saint's pupils shrank. How could he not have heard of the other party's name? So, he immediately smiled and said, "So it's a Taoist friend from Holy Abyss Tower. My previous disciple has offended you, and I will punish him. I hope you can forgive him." The others were shocked. The Myriad Transformations saint was also very famous. The Myriad Transformations saint art was enough to dissolve everything. Chapter 4904. Divine General Wind Snow said coldly, "Since you have a good attitude, I will spare your life. However, as for the person who attacked, there was no need for him to live." She clenched her fist, and the first war chariot was instantly torn apart. The demonic beasts pulling the chariot, as well as the people inside, instantly disappeared. It was terrifying. Countless people were shocked. As they looked at Divine General Wind Snow, their scalps went numb. The Myriad Transformations Saint Sovereign's expression was gloomy and cold. However, he didn't say anything. Even if he could contend against Divine General Wind Snow, what about the others? He reckoned that the other party had at least 3 people who were as strong as him, or even stronger. He wasn't a match for them, so he could only accept this loss. "Your Excellency, you have a good method. Let's go." As he spoke, he waved his hand and entered the war chariot once again. Then he flew in another direction. When Zhu Lai saw this, he sneered coldly. "You really don't know life from death." Lin Xian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, a ray of light burst out of his eyes, and he stared at the war chariot. He sensed a familiar aura. The group landed in a manner and started to rest. Lin Xian and Xueqi walked outside. The Divine General didn't stop them, as other people were also preparing to go out and take a look. First, they wanted to scout for information. Moreover, Taiching Ancient City was also an ancient city, and they might be able to comprehend something new. Lin Xian and Xueqi held hands as they strolled under the setting sun. Soon after, they arrived at a restaurant. They sat down and chatted in a low voice as they looked at the scenery outside the window. The appearance of the two of them attracted the attention of many people. Although there were many experts in Taiching Ancient City, and there were many of them, the combination of Lin Xian and Xueqi was still too small. It was still too small. Lin Xian's demonic aura filled the sky, and he seemed like a peerless demonic god. As for Xueqi, she was like an ice fairy, and the combination of two completely opposite auras was shocking. It was simply too shocking. However, Lin Xian and Xue Qi's auras were both terrifying and ice-cold, so no one dared to disturb them for a while. At this moment, a group of people walked out of the restaurant. They were led by a man who wore armor, and his aura was also strange and mysterious. The space around him was spinning, and it seemed like it couldn't bear his power. It was the myriad transformations law. Many people cried out in alarm. Under this kind of power, they seemed to be about to transform into the Tao. Therefore, everyone stepped aside. Thousand Transformations' young master walked over with a gloomy expression on his face. Previously, he was actually suppressed by someone. This made him very unhappy. Therefore, he was prepared to find something to be happy about. Suddenly, his eyebrows twitched and he stared at a spot on the floor. The corner of his mouth cracked open and a cold smile appeared. It was them. If he remembered correctly, these people should be from the Holy Abyss Tower in Holy Distant City. Young Master Wanhua narrowed his eyes as he walked forward. Behind him were two old servants. He hadn't observed Xue Qi carefully before, but when he saw her now, his eyes lit up. It was rare to see such a peerless beauty. Not to mention, she had the temperament of an iceberg. He walked forward and said, "The two of you meet again?" Xue Qi glanced at him expressionlessly before she withdrew her gaze. Lin Xian frowned slightly and asked, "Who are you? How dare you? This is my family's young master Myriad Transformations." An old servant behind him shouted coldly. His voice was like thunder. The surrounding people cried out in alarm. Young Master Wanhua was a very famous young genius. Lin Xian sneered. Thousand Transformations sect? Young Master Wanhua? I wonder who is stronger between you and Yun Feixiang? Do you know Yun Feixiang? Young Master Wanhua laughed. Our strength is about the same. In his opinion, since Yun Feixiang knew Yun Feixiang, he should look up to Yun Feixiang. His strength was about the same as Yun Feixiang, so Yun Feixiang should look up to him. Unfortunately, he got it wrong. Lin Xian said, "I see. If you had met me a few years ago, you might have had the strength to fight me. But I'm afraid not." Indeed, when Lin Xian was in Taiching Ancient City, he was a top genius with Yun Feixiang and the others. However, in these years, he had been cultivating in the Holy Abyss Tower, and his strength had advanced by leaps and bounds. Yun Feixiang and the others were probably no longer his match. Young Master Wanhua's face sank. Was Yun Feixiang looking down on him? Although you are from Holy Origin City, I advise you not to be too arrogant. There are always geniuses in this world that you don't understand, so I advise you to take back what you just said. However, Lin Xian ignored him. He said to Xue Qi, "Is there any place you want to go in Taiching Ancient City? If I have time, I will accompany you." Xue Qi smiled sweetly, revealing a beautiful smile. Young Master Wanhua's face became unsightly. He was standing at the side, but these two people were treating him like air. "Brat, are you challenging me?" He stared at Lin Xian, and his eyes contained a terrifying power. It seemed to be able to turn anyone into Tao. The void where Lin Xian was constantly shattering. He raised his head, and a piercingly cold radiance erupted from his eyes. "What you want to fight? Your ancestor could only flee in front of us, let alone you." Young Master Wanhua's face was gloomy. He was angry because of this matter. He said coldly, "How can my ancestor be defeated? It's just that you have more people. In a one-on-one fight, which one of you is my ancestor's match?" Today, I want to experience the strength of a genius expert from the Sacred Abyss Tower. How dare you talk big in front of me? He waved his hand, and a wave of law flew out, disintegrating everything around him. Lin Xian didn't care at all. He shot out the light of Demon God, which carried an extremely cold aura. He didn't know whether he was dead or alive. The two old servants behind him sneered. Their all transformations sacred art was enough to disintegrate everything. No matter how strong the other party was, it wouldn't work. However, they were soon stunned. They found that the light of Demon God blocked the all transformations law, and it didn't disintegrate. "Damn it, what's going on?" They were shocked. Lin Xian sneered. How could these people know the power of the great dragon sword soul? His every move carried an aura of nothingness. As long as Lin Xian wanted to, he could even cut open the transformations law. What? Do you want to experience it? Lin Xian also stood up, and the demonic aura around his body became even more terrifying. Young Master Wano's face was gloomy, and the two old servants behind him were also shocked. They whispered, "Young Master, you're a little strange. Why don't we investigate their background first before making a move?" "You want me to retreat?" Young Master Wanhua was unwilling. There were so many pairs of eyes watching. If he left now, wouldn't it be too embarrassing? At this moment, exclamations came from outside. A stream of light streaked across, tearing the void apart. Someone exclaimed, "Someone has returned. Quickly go inside and ask for information." For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. Young Master Wanhua's face also changed. He said, "Kid, you're very lucky. I'll let you go this time. Next time, I'll let you know the consequences of offending me." After saying that, he hurriedly left. Chapter 4905. He looked at a person next to him. The person next to him said hurriedly, "You must have come for the heavenly quartz remains." This time, the heavenly quartz remains had appeared 4 days ago. They had appeared in the void, causing many large cracks to appear in the void. At that time, some daring people had directly flown into the cracks to explore. Now, it was this group of people who had returned. Lin Xian was surprised when he heard this. Someone had already started to act in advance? He wondered if it was He Shan and the others. "Let's go." He and Xue Qi also walked out. Countless people had already gathered outside. Several people appeared in the sky, and 3 of them were injured and covered in blood. Their faces were pale. Someone came to receive them. They asked, "How is it inside? Did you bring anything out?" The 3 of them wanted to say something, but their bodies suddenly split open and turned into blood mist. Their souls were also instantly destroyed. Damn it! The people who came to receive them were also shocked. 2 of them had died together. The others retreated in fright. What kind of power was this? Even if these people managed to escape, they would be instantly destroyed. Damn it! Didn't they get any information? These people gnashed their teeth. Someone said, "Apart from them, there should be 3 other groups. Maybe they can bring some information out." Everyone was waiting anxiously. Night came. Xiao Zhuang opened his eyes. His body turned into countless butterflies and flew into the 9 heavens. Then he drew a dreamy moon that slowly rotated. The whole Azure City became quiet, as if everything had fallen into a deep sleep. That night, many people had a strange dream. In the dream, they seemed to be enveloped by a divine power. When they opened their eyes the next day, they were so tired that they couldn't even stand up. Damn it! What's going on? What happened last night? Their faces were filled with shock. However, they couldn't find out who had attacked them. The dreamy moon in the sky had already disappeared. Xiao Zhuang walked out again and yawned. He looked at the Snow Wind Divine General and said, "I've found something." A few days ago, in the original space of the heavenly quartz remains, the void was torn open, and an even more terrifying illusory palace appeared. Everyone guessed that this was another part of the imperial quartz remains. Back then, quite a few people gathered, and some of them immediately decided to enter. 4 teams entered the area of the spatial rift, and after that, the spatial rift disappeared again. Only the illusion of the heavenly court appeared. Everyone was waiting. Yesterday, a group of 3 people came back covered in blood, but before they could say anything, they were killed by the power of a god. Now the others were waiting for the other 3 teams. Hearing this, Divine General Wind Snow and the others nodded. "All right, let's wait then." Now was not the time to make a move. Lin Xian went out again. As he gathered information, he searched for traces of He Shan and the others. However, he didn't find them this time. He didn't know if those people had come or if they were hiding. He was not in a hurry. If it was really the remains of the heavenly court, those people from Black Mountain would definitely come again. He waited for another 5 days. A team came out. This person was tall and sturdy, like a fiend god. There were many cracks on his body. It was even surrounded by sacred blood. He walked out and said, "Don't wait, the others are already dead." What? Then the person in front of him was the only hope? Many people were surprised. Some people's eyes flickered, and they secretly wanted to make a move, but they were killed by that person with a palm. Two great sages secretly moved, but they were pierced by that person's gaze and turned into a bloody mist. The others were horrified. Who was this person? It was too terrifying. At this time, 9 rays of light appeared in the distance, and figures walked over. They rode on auspicious clouds, like immortals. Countless people were surprised. It was the people from the Purple Mansion. After the 9 successors of the Purple Mansion arrived, they respectfully bowed and congratulated the senior on his successful return. Was this person also a Purple Mansion expert? Countless people were shocked. Lin Xian and the others also came. Divine General Wind Snow, Divine General Ocean, and the others frowned. This person's aura was so strong, as if he was with them. Who exactly was he? Lin Xian's pupils constricted. It was him. He was really too shocked. This person was indeed very strong, because he had reached the peak of the great sage, and he was someone from 10,000 years ago. He was the master of the great wilderness. They didn't expect him to enter the ruins of the heavenly court. No wonder he could come back alive. This person's strength had definitely reached an extremely terrifying realm. Lin Xian briefly explained the matter, and Divine General Ocean and the others were shocked. Divine General Qian Chen also frowned. "How did you know?" he asked coldly. Lin Xian said, "Naturally, it was the information he had gathered." Divine General Wind Snow was surprised. They didn't know about this. It seemed that this mad god had his own channels to gather information. But forget it. Everyone had their own secrets, and they wouldn't ask. What surprised them was that the Purple Mansion would obtain the secrets of the Heavenly Court. This wasn't good news, because the Purple Mansion and the Heavenly Court were sworn enemies. At this time, a woman walked over and said respectfully, "Senior Great Wilderness, the Mansion Lord is very concerned about your safety, so please come back with us." Lin Xian also knew this woman. It was Qin Sienna. He didn't expect her to still be in the prefect, and it seemed that she had become an even more important person. The 9 successors of the Purple Mansion weren't fixed. There were 9 of them, but the people would change. For example, the previous Yao Guang was one of the successors, but after he left, someone would replace him. Before this, Lin Xian had also killed a successor of the Purple Mansion, and the result would be the same. He would quickly make up for it. And Qin Sienna was still one of the 9 successors, which was enough to show that her strength was extremely terrifying in these rumors. Hearing this, the Lord of the Great Wilderness nodded and walked forward. He took a step forward, and a terrifying flame appeared around him, enveloping his entire body. It wanted to burn him to ashes. Not good. Qin Sienna and the other 9 successors' expressions changed drastically. The others' pupils constricted. Even such a terrifying person was going to be killed by the mysterious power of the heavenly court? The Lord of the Great Wilderness seemed to be angry. He roared into the sky, and the power of his body surged in all directions. At the same time, an even more mysterious talisman flashed between his eyebrows, protecting his soul. His legs turned into nothingness, but the flames of the heavenly court were restrained by the talisman of life between his eyebrows. It didn't continue to burn. He snorted coldly and said, "Let's go." His broken body tore through the void and flew in the direction of the Purple Mansion. Qin Sienna and the others quickly followed. The others were also shocked and nervous. He was the only one who could come out alive, and he was also the only one who could bring news out of the heavenly court. If the other party had fallen, then no one would know. However, it seemed that he had a mysterious treasure that could block the terrifying power of the heavenly court. Chapter 4906. Just as everyone thought that the Lord of the Grand Desolation would leave and return to his Purple Mansion to recover, the void broke open. A fist cut through the ages, blocking his path. At the same time, a vast voice sounded. "Fellow Taoist, please wait. Or you." How dare you block my path? The Lord of the Grand Desolation roared. His gaze turned into a peerless blade, causing the entire world to tremble. The endless void was collapsing. However, no one appeared, but the voice sounded again. Fellow Taoist, you're the only one who came out alive. Do you know what's going on inside? The surrounding people were shocked. It seemed that this mysterious expert wanted to ask for information about the heavenly court. The Lord of the Grand Desolation snorted. If you want to know, go and see for yourself. His body rose into the air again. The giant hand in the sky slapped down, shattering the world. If you don't tell me, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave. The Lord of the Grand Desolation's eyes burst out with cold, killing intent, but he didn't make a move because he wasn't in a good state. Although he suppressed the mysterious power of the heavenly court, he didn't completely eliminate it. If he couldn't suppress it and acted rashly, he might be killed by this power. Therefore, he turned around and went in another direction. However, in that direction, a sickle slashed down like a peerless divine blade, blocking his path again. This time, the other party was even more terrifying. He didn't ask any questions and directly attacked, as if he wanted to kill the Lord of the Grand Desolation. Damn it, the Lord of the Grand Desolation was angry. The Divine Realm expert who attacked before also snorted coldly. He only wanted to ask for information, but this person wanted to kill him directly. The two sides started fighting. Neither of them revealed their true forms, but all kinds of terrifying divine abilities appeared and disappeared mysteriously. The void turned into a terrifying abyss, and everyone felt their scalps go numb. Qin Xianer and the others' expressions changed drastically. Now that the Lord of the Grand Desolation was blocked, they had to quickly inform the mansion master. They formed a hand seal and sent the news out. On the other side, the eyes of Divine General Hai Yuan and the others flickered. Should they make a move? Lin Xian was even more surprised. Although the two of them didn't reveal their true forms, he could roughly tell who they were. The person who attacked before had a terrifying aura. He could make the great dragon sword soul in his body let out a dragon roar, which meant that the first person was a dragon. He was most likely an expert from the 10,000 Dragon Dynasty. Then one of them was directly killed. Needless to say, that person should be someone from the heavenly court. At the thought of this, Lin Xian said to the Ocean Abyss Divine General, "Senior, I don't think we should make a move. There are so many people here, why don't we just sit back and reap the benefits?" That was good too. Divine General Hai Yuan nodded. Divine General Wind Snow did not refuse either. On the other hand, Divine General Qian Chen's expression was cold. He wanted to say something, but at that moment, experts arrived from afar. The strong cultivators of the Zifu Palace had arrived. They swept through the 8 wastelands and roared crazily. Who dared to make a move against them? This time, there were quite a few great sage that came, and they directly blocked heaven and earth. Protect the master of the great wilderness. The two figures in the sky did not attack again. The second mysterious expert disappeared. The first person to make a move appeared. He said in a clear voice, "I am the Dragon Reflection Master of the 10,000 Dragons Court." When these words were spoken, everyone was in an uproar. 10,000 Dragon Court? That was an emperor clan. Who would have thought that they would appear as well? The faces of the people from the Z government turned cold. So it's a Taoist from the 10,000 Dragon Court. Why are you attacking our people? The Dragon Reflection Master said coldly. He was the only one who came out, so he knew the situation inside. We request to share the information. Otherwise, the 10,000 Dragon Court will use our own methods. I don't think the others will agree to it either. The Dragon Reflection Master looked around. The surrounding people were in a heated discussion. Experts from the remote antiquity families and great sects walked out. The Yi family, Gu family, Light Race, Sacred Sky Race, Pill Cauldron Sect, Serene Cloud Sect, Myriad Transformation Sect, and the surrounding great sects and remote antiquity families all moved out. They also said that good things should be shared. That's right, does the Z government want to take it all for themselves? Damn it. The faces of the experts from the Z government turned ugly. Originally, they wanted to enter stealthily without anyone noticing. If there were treasures that could be used, they would take them. It would not be long before the heavenly court was destroyed. It would be best if it disappeared completely. But who would have thought that the news would spread so quickly? Furthermore, the master of the great wilderness was stopped by someone. If they wanted to make a move now, they would have to become enemies with the entire world. They had no choice but to look at the master of the great wilderness. The master of the great wilderness's face turned cold. He waved his hand and took out an ancient storage ring. I don't have any other information. I only brought out a storage ring. I brought out a storage ring from inside. Countless people's eyes turned red. There were definitely rare treasures in there. Let me see, the dragon reflection master said. The master of the great wilderness snorted. There are a total of 13 items inside. I'll let you see them. Then, the Z government will auction them. I won't hide anything. But if you want to get them, you'll have to rely on your abilities. With a wave of his hand, 13 treasures flew out and danced in the air. Countless people opened their eyes wide and memorized them carefully. Lin Xian looked over and realized that there were indeed things inside. In the next moment, the master of the great wilderness kept the 13 treasures and handed the storage ring to the Z government. The auction would begin 3 days later. With that, he said coldly, "You can let me go now." This time, the dragon reflection master did not come, and the others were silent. The master of the great wilderness tore open the void and disappeared. The others stared at the Z government. A woman from the Z government, Elder Yu, walked out. She said, "Everyone, don't be anxious. You have already seen the 13 treasures. When the time comes, there will be no missing items. Everyone, go back and prepare. Without sufficient wealth, it is impossible to obtain such items." Everyone started to contact their respective sects and families. They had to obtain at least one of the 13 treasures. Of course, there were people who did not want to auction. They would not give up their Z government's resources for free. Thus, someone mobilized a group of forces and launched a sneak attack. A total of 7 experts hid in the void and attacked Elder Yu and the rest. Elder Yu sneered. "You dare to go against the Z government? Are you tired of living?" At this moment, the Z government had already recovered for a long time. Thus, they had organized a group of experts. Furthermore, their foundation was extremely terrifying. Other than Elder Yu and the other great sage, there were a few ancient figures. One of them was the 9 Nether Demon King that Lin Xian had seen before. The 7 Extinction Sword King and the Draconic Elephant Force King. These people were extremely terrifying. They were not weaker than the Snow Wind Divine General. In fact, they were even more terrifying. When they attacked, they easily turned the 7 hidden experts into blood mist. Who dared to attack again? Our Z government will exterminate their clans. Exterminate their sects. Elder Yu's cold voice sounded. Chapter 4907. With the Purple Mansion Realm's power displayed, no one dared to make a move. Everyone was gathering their wealth to fight for a heavenly quartz relic. The Divine General of the Ocean Abyss and the Divine General of the Snow Wind were also discussing that they would participate in the auction. They had to get one. Lin Xian didn't plan to participate in the auction. After all, there were Divine Generals around, so it didn't matter if he went or not. He planned to go to the place where the heavenly quartz relic appeared to take a look. There were many people wandering around that place. After all, everyone wanted to go in and take a look, but no one dared to. Of the 4 teams that went in, only one person came back alive, and that person was a peak great sage. Even someone like that almost died, so it would be even more difficult for others to enter. Could it be that the heavenly court was that terrifying? Some young geniuses despaired. Some of the older generation experts said, "It wasn't like that. The 4 teams that went in earlier went in through the spatial rifts. They might have been killed by the spatial power after entering. Or it might be the array formation left behind by the heavenly court. It might be safer to enter through the main entrance." So that was the case. Some people nodded in understanding. Others said, but it was even harder to enter through the main entrance. This was the heavenly court. Apart from the heavenly court's people, who could enter? The old man smiled. That was why the previous scene happened. Everyone wanted to get the relevant information. As for the 13 treasures that came out, they were all related to the heavenly court. With those treasures, they might be able to enter the heavenly court. That was right. Those ancient families and sects all thought so. Therefore, they would at least get one of the 13 treasures. There were even some clans and sects that were prepared to secretly join hands to bid for one. Let's go and take a look. The auction will definitely be earth-shattering. Countless people left the ruins and prepared to go to the auction. However, a figure went in the opposite direction. He floated down from the distance and arrived in the void. He looked up at the sky. There was a dreamlike, illusory palace in the sky. The heavenly court? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He walked forward. There were some people who stayed behind. When they saw this scene, they exclaimed, "Look, who is that person? He wants to enter the heavenly court now. It's useless. Who does he think he is? Is he a peak great sage?" Moreover, there weren't many spatial rifts left. It was even more dangerous. He would definitely die if he went in. No one was optimistic. At this moment, a voice rang out. "Reckless fool, you think you can enter?" The 1,000 Transformations young master looked at the figure in front of him and sneered. He didn't expect to meet the other party here. Lin Xian stepped into the air and approached the illusion of the heavenly court. He felt an extremely terrifying and mysterious aura obstructing him. He activated the heaven-devouring jar and released an aura. He realized that the mysterious power of the ancient celestial court was weakening. Lin Xian was stunned. From the looks of it, the heaven-devouring great monarch was definitely related to the heavenly court. Perhaps he was a member of the heavenly court in the past. He wondered if Black Mountain could open the door to the heavenly court with the sky lantern in his hand. He guessed that it should be possible. Black Mountain was a member of the heavenly court and cultivated the heavenly court arts. It was a pity that he didn't cultivate it. If he did, he might be able to open the gates of the heavenly court immediately. But, with the heaven-devouring jar, Lin Xian would also give it a try. Thinking of this, he continued to walk forward. Although he had the heaven-devouring jar, the illusion of the heavenly court was too terrifying. It was as if it could suppress the heaven and earth. The more he walked forward, the more he felt the pressure. His body felt like it was about to collapse. Lin Xian's demonic aura was monstrous. It shrouded everything and blocked everyone's vision. Then, he took out the heaven-devouring jar and let it float above his head. At the same time, an extremely terrifying golden light shone in his eyes. He activated the heavenly secret god eyes to the extreme. He wanted to see through the universe. His golden eyes were like the eyes of a god. They could see through everything. He realized that there was a majestic palace in the mysterious illusion that extended into the distance. At the front of the palace, there was a heavenly gate. It stood there, unchanging. The power of the gate was extremely terrifying. It was as if it was a natural moat that blocked everyone's path. There was a stone plaque on the heavenly gate. 2 words flew on it: Southern Heaven. Southern Heaven Gate. Lin Xian was shocked. Was this the legendary Southern Heaven Gate? It actually existed in this world. Just as he was about to investigate the Southern Heaven Gate, an extremely powerful suppressive force came and shattered Lin Xian's vision. He took 2 steps back and narrowed his eyes. What a terrifying aura. He didn't expect it to be able to detect the existence of the Southern Heaven Gate. Suddenly, he was stunned. He remembered that when the 13 treasures in his storage ring flew out, there was a token with the words Southern Heaven written on it. Southern Heaven token, Southern Heaven Gate. Could it be that one could enter the Southern Heaven Gate with the token? Lin Xian was surprised. This seemed to be an incredible piece of news, so he prepared to go back and tell Immortal General Hai Yuan. The others were surprised. This kid was using demonic aura. He was an expert of the demonic path. What was he doing? Did he get the secret of the heavenly court? Some people sneered. Impossible. Some people said that he might have some special methods. After all, he was too close to the illusion of the heavenly court. No one could reach that step. Moreover, he wasn't a peerless expert at all. At this moment, Lin Xian turned around and left. Was he leaving? Countless people exclaimed. He left so decisively. Could it be that he really got some information? Stop right there. With a cold shout, a figure flew out and blocked Lin Xian's path. The Thousand Transformations young master stared ahead and said, "Kid, what did you get just now?" "You again?" Lin Xian frowned. "I spared your life before, but I didn't expect you to be so reckless. You still dare to appear in front of me? You think I don't dare to kill you? With just you?" The Thousand Transformations young master sneered. "Tell me what happened just now. What are you hiding? Otherwise, I won't let you go. I think the others won't let you leave either." As his voice fell, several figures appeared in the surroundings, blocking all of Lin Xian's paths of retreat. This scene was so familiar. Previously, there was a peerless expert who stopped the Lord of the Great Desolation. The Lord of the Great Desolation had no choice but to take out his storage ring. Now, the Thousand Transformations young master and the others wanted to imitate the peerless expert and stop Lin Xian. They wanted him to tell them about the demonic aura. Lin Xian stood in the air with his hands behind his back. He looked disdainfully at those figures. Then he shook his head and sneered. "You want to imitate the peerless expert? Far from it. You dare to look down on me?" Instantly, someone was angered. Endless flames covered his body, illuminating half the sky. He slashed out flames with his saber. The divine saber descended from the sky. This saber enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian turned his head and stared ahead. He laughed loudly and the demonic aura around him surged. "It seems that my name hasn't spread to Grand Clarity Ancient City." Chapter 4908. Between heaven and earth, this blade could cut through everything. However, Lin Xian was not afraid at all. He clenched his hand into a fist and punched out. The Six Paths fist collapsed the heavenly domain, and the flaming divine blade was cut in half. The expert who attacked also vomited blood and was sent flying. His face was pale and he was dumbfounded. How was this possible? His fist was so terrifying. "I'll kill him." Another person walked out. This person had earth-shattering power. Blood light soared into the sky as if he had turned into hell. The endless sea of blood condensed into a blood-red scythe of death that slashed forward. Some of the spectators felt their scalps go numb as they quickly retreated. They realized that the people who attacked were not weaker than the Myriad Transformations young master in terms of status and strength. The one who attacked previously was a great sage from the Golden Crow clan. The one who attacked now was the disciple of the Blood Blade Master. The Blood River Master was also a peak existence among the great sage. How could his disciple be weak? With a slash of the blade, it was as if the blood god had been resurrected. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Great destruction appeared in his hand, and he flew out, turning into a flying dragon that bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Boom! The sky was collapsing, and the earth was cracking. The blood-red scythe also turned into pieces, and a black spear pierced the Blood Prince's forehead. His head split open, and his soul roared. Damn it! The Myriad Transformations young master and the others' pupils shrank. They attacked together. They could see that this demonic expert was too terrifying, and he came from the Sacred Abyss Tower. They had heard of the Sacred Abyss Tower's reputation. Those who could be on the list were all top figures. With an angry roar, the five of them attacked together. The Myriad Transformations young master used the Myriad Transformations sacred art, and the terrifying laws could dissolve everything. The demonic aura around Lin Xian was also disappearing. Myriad Transformations divine palm. With a palm strike, it was earth-shattering. Blood river destroying the sky. The scythe of death turned into the sky and pressed down. Solar divine blade. The Golden Crow clan's young master turned into a peerless sun and descended from the sky. The other two experts who attacked each threw out a peerless punch. The other person was even more extraordinary, and he actually threw out a trace of chaos aura. This was the power that could split heaven and earth. The five experts attacked together, and everyone looked up to them. It's over. That demonic expert is dead for sure. No one could escape from this attack. But Lin Xian's body emitted a monstrous demonic aura, as if he had turned into a demon lord. A phantom image appeared beside him as he summoned the dimensional beast, which teleported him and disappeared in an instant. The place where he was standing turned into a black hole that connected to the universe. This brat should be dead. Myriad transformation Gongzi coldly snorted. The others frowned. They had let him off too easily. She should have asked about his whereabouts. It doesn't matter. If he can find the information, so can we. The man who was surrounded by the aura of primal chaos walked in that direction. He also wanted to ascend the heavenly court to search for information. The young noble vomited blood and flew backward with half of his body shattered. Boundless devil chi filled the air. Damn it! He roared, and his body shattered the ground. The other four turned their heads in shock. How could this be? He was still alive. They saw that in the void, the man with monstrous demonic chi was coming again, and he was coming at them aggressively. He severely injured the Golden Crow Prince with one strike. Then he charged at the Blood Prince. The Blood Prince roared, and the blood in the 9 heavens and 10 earths shook. But in the next moment he hugged his head and screamed. His soul was ignited. He became terrified as if he had gone crazy. He was under Lin Xian's eye technique. To be precise, it was an illusion technique. The Blood Prince wanted to cultivate the Blood God technique. He had killed countless people in his life, and there were too many living beings in his hands. Naturally, some vengeful spirits would come looking for him. Previously, the Blood Prince was powerful and was not afraid of anything. But under the influence of the illusion technique, he became terrified, as if his body was being torn apart by countless vengeful spirits. His entire person collapsed. Damn it, what kind of power was this? The myriad transformations young noble's expression was ugly. The other two also had grave expressions. This demonic cultivator was too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had seriously injured 2 experts. Let's attack together and kill him. The myriad transformations young noble walked out. He said that he would definitely not be able to escape from the myriad transformations array. With a wave of his palm, the myriad transformations array danced, sealing the entire world. If he wanted to escape, he would be turned into ashes. Let's see how you escape this time. The myriad transformations young noble sneered. The mysterious man with the primal chaos aura shouted coldly. I will make you completely turn into nothingness. Lin Xian laughed. Escape? Why should I escape? The ones who will die will be you. He waved his hand and charged towards the myriad transformations young noble. The myriad transformations young noble snorted coldly. Myriad transformations Saint Palm. He struck out with his palm, and the surrounding demonic aura shattered and dissipated. You are not my match at all. He charged over with a sinister smile. However, Lin Xian used the power of the great dragon sword soul. When he struck out, it was like a black demonic sword piercing through heaven and earth. The myriad transformations Saint Palm was directly pierced through. The myriad transformations young noble jumped in fright and quickly retreated. One of his arms was chopped off. Damn it, you can actually break my myriad transformations array. He was really too shocked. What kind of power was this? Their myriad transformations sect's myriad transformations Saint Art was extremely terrifying. It had been passed down for a long time and could resolve everything in the world. In a battle of the same level, no one was their match. Unless the difference in realm was too great and they used their peerless cultivation to suppress it, they could block it. But now, the other party's cultivation did not seem to be higher than his. Even his cultivation was inferior to his, but he was able to shatter his law. It was really hard to believe. Damn it, this brat must have a heaven-defying treasure on him. Thinking of this, he quickly retreated. But the next moment he also screamed miserably. His soul was ignited. Damn it, the other party also knew soul attacks. He jumped in fright and hurriedly used his law to extinguish the soul fire. However, he was still a step too late. Although the soul fire was extinguished, he still suffered heavy injuries. His body almost fell from the sky. Black and white elders, kill him for me. 2 old men walked out from behind the myriad transformations young noble. These were the 2 old servants from before. One had black hair, the other had white hair. Both of them were great sage. They were very terrifying. Like ghosts, they arrived beside Lin Xian. The withered claws reached out to grab Lin Xian's shoulders, grabbing them in an instant. Then they pulled forcefully. Under this kind of power, the entire sky was torn into two halves. But Lin Xian's body emitted a thunderous sound and did not shatter. How was this possible? What kind of physique was this? Demon god physique? Black and white elders were shocked. The others were even more dumbstruck. Lin Xian sneered. His arms shook, and he clasped the wrists of black and white elders. Fight with me? His arms shook, waving heaven and earth. Black and white elders danced like windmills, smashing into the ground. With a boom, the ground shattered. Their bodies swayed and they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. Damn it. The two wanted to escape, but Lin Xian's hands were like iron pliers, grabbing their wrists, making it impossible for them to escape. Lin Xian waved again. The two collided, and half of their bodies were smashed. Chapter 4909. The myriad transformations' young master was dumbfounded. The black and white elders weren't weak. They were specially sent by the Lord of Myriad Transformations to protect him. But now they were being beaten up. Was the gap between them really that big? What level had this mad god reached? The black and white elders crippled their own arms to escape. Their faces were ferocious, and their eyes were filled with killing intent as they attacked again. This time, the laws of both of them burned like a monstrous fire that engulfed the world. Lin Xian held the human ruler seal in his left hand and the mountain-embracing seal in his right. He opened and closed his palms as he charged forward. Under the demonic energy, the human ruler seal turned into a demonic god with the power to split heaven and earth. It blasted Elder Black into a bloody mist. The mountain-embracing seal turned into an immemorial demonic mountain that was 100,000 feet tall and descended from the sky. The entire world shook. Elder White was suppressed. Her soul was shaken to death. She was dead. The myriad transformations' young master was terrified. His two super guardians had died just like that. Damn it, he was so ferocious. Hurry up and attack. Before he finished speaking, his hair stood on end because Lin Xian had already arrived beside him. What fast speed! Was it a spatial divine ability? Her scalp went numb. This person's soul was strong, his physique was strong, and he even knew spatial divine abilities. Which race was he from? You dare! The chaotic figure roared. The other war god with a powerful physique also roared. They could also see that this mad god was too strong. If the myriad transformations' young master died, their side would be completely suppressed. The two of them attacked. One of them shot out the light of chaos, crushing over. The other stretched out his hand and enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian sneered. His body dimmed as the dimensional beast teleported him away again. But before he left, he used the great dragon sword. This myriad transformations' young master was extremely terrifying. If it wasn't for him, it would be very difficult for others to kill him. Even he had to use the power of the great dragon sword. So, he didn't hesitate to slash out. The cry of a dragon resounded. The myriad transformations' young master roared crazily and used the myriad transformations' sacred art. Between heaven and earth, a myriad transformations painting enveloped him. Of course, it was useless. The great dragon sword cleaved open his body, and under the all-conquering power, his body vanished into thin air. Was he dead? Everyone went crazy. Myriad transformations' young master's myriad transformations law couldn't dissolve it. Was this a fatal sword? What kind of swordsmanship was that? With a wave of his hand, Lin Xian collected the storage rings of the three fallen cultivators. Then he turned around again and stared at the other two. If you have any last words, please leave them. The two men's faces were gloomy and cold. The godlike man walked out and said in a clear voice, "I want to compete with you in terms of physique." Lin Xian smiled. Sure, if he lost, he would die. You dare to look down on me? The war god shouted in rage and punched. 10,000 bolts of thunder danced in the sky. He admitted that the other party was very strong, but in terms of physical strength, he would not lose to anyone. The entire world shook violently, spreading far and wide. Countless people in the distance were also horrified. They looked up at the sky and saw that the sky was collapsing and the earth was cracking. Someone was fighting a great battle. This was Primeval City, and if it was any other place, the entire city would have probably been destroyed long ago. Even so, the scene was still shocking. Countless people looked in the direction of the sound and soared into the sky, wanting to watch the battle. In front, Lin Xian looked at this punch and nodded. "You're very strong, but you're not my match." He also clenched his fist and punched out. 6 paths fist. 6 phantoms connected with each other in the fist as if they had turned into a world of 6 paths. He punched out. The godlike man's fist was shattered, revealing his white bones. He covered his wound with a terrified expression. "For you?" Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Mad God. From today onwards, this name will be your nightmare." As he spoke, he attacked again. The 6 paths fist swung out, and 3 punches shattered the godlike man into pieces. It was terrifying. "You can't kill me, I'm from the Sky Battling Clan." The Sky Battling Clan had been passed down from ancient times. They were very mysterious and had always lived in seclusion. It was rumored that this clan was extremely powerful and had astonishing combat strength. It was said that they even dared to fight the heavens. Who would have thought that this man's background was so extraordinary? Lin Xian sneered. "So what? When you teamed up with 1,000 transformations young master to attack me, you should have thought of today's outcome." Lin Xian was unmoved and walked out. Another 6 paths fist shattered the other party, and that person's soul also entered the cycle of reincarnation. Is he dead? The surrounding people were terrified and almost fainted. Who would have thought that after reporting his family, he still couldn't make Mad God stop? Someone was terrified. No wonder he was called Mad God. He was really too arrogant and didn't put anything in his eyes. It's over. 4 great experts had fallen and he had offended 4 top forces. No matter how strong this Mad God was, it would be difficult for him to survive. At this moment, there was only one person left in the sky. It was a man surrounded by a chaotic aura. His background was also extraordinary, and he was arrogant and didn't put anything in his eyes. However, Lin Xian had killed 4 great experts in a row, which really shocked him. He knew that he was probably no match for the other party. Although he didn't want to admit it, it was a fact. His eyes flickered. After thinking for a long time, the chaotic man sighed. "I admit that my current strength is inferior to yours. I admit defeat." While admitting defeat, he also gave himself a way out. Although he was inferior to the other party now, it didn't mean that he would be inferior to the other party in the future. He would definitely return this grudge in the future. Lin Xian sneered. Since he admitted defeat, he was still so arrogant. Since he admitted defeat, then kneel down and kowtow to apologize. "I can spare your life." "Impossible!" The chaotic man roared. Admitting defeat was already the biggest concession he could make, but he still had to kneel down and kowtow? This was even more uncomfortable than killing him. Not satisfied? Not satisfied? If I had fallen into your hands today, would you have let me go just because I admitted defeat? The chaotic man fell silent. They naturally wouldn't. They would use all kinds of methods to torture the other party to death and get what they wanted. At the same time, he also understood that the other party was also a powerhouse, but he was even more arrogant and arrogant. Therefore, begging for mercy was impossible. He could only use a secret technique to escape. He snorted coldly, and a pair of chaotic wings appeared on his back. He tore open the sky and fled into the distance. Did he escape? Everyone was shocked. Even a powerhouse with a chaotic aura was no match for him. This Mad God was really going to become famous in the world today. Looking at the fleeing figure, Lin Xian didn't chase after him. With a wave of his hand, the spear of great destruction appeared in his palm and he gripped it tightly. Then he flew into the distance. The great spear of destruction turned into a black lightning bolt and tore through the 9 heavens. It chased after the chaotic figure in front of him. This power was too strong. It carried the indestructible aura of the great dragon sword and the terrifying aura of the demonic path. Between heaven and earth, black thunder descended in all directions because of this power. In front, the chaotic man heaved a sigh of relief. Although he was defeated today, he could finally escape unscathed. It could be considered a blessing in disguise. But in the next moment his scalp went numb. Chapter 49:10. Has that person caught up? He turned around abruptly, only to see a black spear piercing through the sky. It rushed over with endless thunder and lightning in its wake. It was actually a weapon. Is he trying to throw a weapon to kill me? What a joke. The other party is underestimating me too much. I'm stronger than the previous four. Chaos splitting heaven and earth. At this moment, his expression became solemn, and the chaotic aura around him became even more terrifying, turning into laws. In his palm print, it was rolling rapidly. He stretched out his arms, one finger pointing to the sky and the other pointing to the ground, as if he was really going to open up a world. The surrounding chaotic laws intertwined with each other, transforming into an illusion of a world that enveloped him. He was like the god of the world, his might unstoppable. Boom! In the next moment, the great spear of destruction blasted the area where the chaos split heaven and earth, emitting an earth-shattering sound. A terrifying storm swept out in all directions. Retreat quickly. The people in the distance were terrified. This force was too strong. They retreated one after another, and a few of them who retreated too slowly were instantly torn into pieces. In the distance, the people who wanted to rush over to watch the battle also stopped. Their faces were filled with fear. If this force continued to move forward, they would be courting death. In front, the storm was monstrous. The chaotic man sneered and blocked it. He used his chaos to split heaven and earth to block the other party's weapon. Also, this weapon looked good. He would accept it. Thinking of this, he stretched out his palm and grabbed in front of him. However, an indiscernible crack quietly appeared. Then, in a second, it spread throughout his entire chaotic laws. Impossible! The chaotic man was terrified. Has the chaotic laws been broken? Run! That was his only thought. However, he still underestimated this attack. Although Lin Xian had only thrown out a single weapon, the force behind it was simply too strong. If the chaotic man had dodged, he might have been able to escape with his life. However, he chose to take it head-on. This was the most foolish thing to do. He had to pay the price for his actions. Poof! The great spear of destruction shattered. The chaos split heaven and earth, striking the chaotic man's body and piercing through him. Then, it carried him along the way, directly shattering hundreds of mountains, and finally nailing him to the surface of a cliff. The chaotic man roared crazily, trying to escape. He discovered that the spear contained an indestructible power that directly destroyed the meridians and laws in his body. He couldn't even use his strength. The void in front of him split open, and a demonic figure walked out, his cold gaze enveloping him. Who are you? The primal chaos man roared furiously. Who are you? Lin Xian countered with a question. His eyes flickered, but he didn't attack immediately. I come from eternal beginnings. Kid, are you afraid? Let me go and I'll let bygones be bygones. At the same time, this weapon will be mine. 10,000 beginnings? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. True spirit world's all beginnings holy land? It seems that you aren't ignorant. The all beginnings holy land is only a part of the all beginnings holy land. Our all beginnings sect represents too much. Not only do we have our holy land in the true spirit world, but we also have our power in the buried Emperor Star. We are existences that evolved from the creation of the world. How can you compare to us? All beginnings. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. It seemed that the names of the holy lands in the true spirit world weren't randomly chosen. Each of them had a profound meaning behind them. Since you have the power to create the world and also control the primal chaos law, very well, I won't kill you. From now on, you can become my battle servant. What did you say? The primal chaos man was furious. He was going to become a prisoner? What kind of joke was this? If you touch me, the all beginnings won't let you off. However, before he could finish speaking, Lin Xian's hand grabbed his head. At the same time, a terrifying light appeared in his eyes. Seal of life and death. Once the seal of life and death was planted, one's life and death would be controlled by oneself and not by the heavens. Lin Xian's ice-cold voice echoed in the other party's mind. The primal chaos man crazily roared. He resisted with all his strength, but under the power of the heavens' secret divine ability, his soul was completely crushed. In the end, his soul dimmed as the seal of life and death was planted in the depths of his soul. From now on, his life and death would no longer belong to the heavens. Lin Xian retrieved the Great Destruction Spear. The primal chaos man knelt on one knee, greeting his master. "What's your name?" Lin Xian asked coldly. "Master, my name is Pan Xiang." "Very good." Lin Xian waved his hand and disappeared with the two of them. Did they leave? The people in the distance were shocked. After a long time, they finally rushed over. Then they investigated. What happened to the last person? They only saw the shattered mountain peak and the primal chaos blood all over the ground. Could it be that he was also killed? Heavens, the 5 great experts had all fallen. This was an earth-shattering matter. This matter quickly spread. For a moment, the entire Taiching ancient city was shaken. The sects behind the 5 great experts also went crazy. They sent the great sage over and found that it was indeed the case. "Damn it, how dare you attack my myriad transformations sect?" The Lord of all transformations roared at the sky, his voice shaking the 9 heavens. Who did it? The experts of the Golden Crow race also came. The Blood River race also came. When the great sage was angry, the sky fell and the earth cracked. Finally, they found out that it was a person called Mad God who did it. Mad God, who is this person? Quickly go and investigate. At the same time, the name Mad God spread throughout Taiching ancient city. Not good. Crane Jiuxiao flew back with an ugly expression on his face. What happened? Divine General Wind Snow frowned. Did something happen in the heavenly court ruins? Jiuxiao said, reporting to the Divine General, "No. It's not about the heavenly court, but Mad God." "What happened to Mad God?" Divine General Cloud asked. Jiuxiao said, "The news has spread. Mad God killed 5 great experts near the heavenly court ruins, including the Myriad Transformations sect, the Golden Crow race, and even the Myriad Beginning sect." "What?" Divine General Wind Snow was shocked. Divine General Cloud's expression also changed. This was a big matter. What was that Mad God doing? Divine General Qiancheng's expression also darkened when he heard the news. "Although we are from the Sacred Abyss Tower and don't fear any power, with so many forces attacking together, we won't be able to stop them. Moreover, this is Taiching Ancient City, not our territory." Did that Mad God not understand this? Where is he? Divine General Qiancheng, Lung He, if the 5 great powers come looking for us, we will suppress Mad God and send him out. After all, we can't allow a war to break out at this juncture. Divine General Ocean Origin shouted, "Mad God is one of us. If you send him out now, what will the world think of us?" "I don't agree." "I didn't agree either." Brother Yun stood up as well. Divine General Wind Snow said, "Let's not talk about this for now. Let's find that kid and ask him about the situation first. Mad God might be arrogant, but I don't think he would attack for no reason." They began to move out and search for Mad God. Chapter 49:11. At this moment, Lin Xian had found a place to hide for the time being. He brought Pan Xiang to the Sword World. "Kid, you actually brought someone here again. Who is it this time?" The 4 spirit beasts were surprised. They realized that there was another person following behind Lin. "I can feel the aura of primal chaos from him." The spirit dragon exclaimed. The aura of primal chaos was indeed very helpful to this world. The spirit turtle also laughed. That's right, Lin Xian did not kill the other party because the other party was useful. He planned to throw the other party into the sword world. Let the other party's law of primal chaos provide power to the sword world. Primal chaos had the power to split the heavens and earth, Perhaps it was what the sword world needed. Of course, he was still experimenting in the Four Spirit Valley. The current Four Spirit Valley was 5 times larger than before. It was no longer a small place. Instead, it was a very large valley. The 4 spirit veins formed by the 4 spirit beasts had also become much larger in the past, which made them very happy. The 4 of them stayed here at ease. They even took the initiative to take care of the spirit herbs in the 4 Spirit Valley. These spirit herbs were growing very well. Outside, there was an additional layer of mysterious power. Now that there was the aura of primal chaos, it would probably be even more terrifying. It was unknown to what extent it would evolve to. Lin Xian and the others were looking forward to it. After giving Pan Xiang a mission, Lin Xian left. Pan Xiang turned into an elephant, surrounded by the aura of primal chaos, and continuously plowed the land in the 4 Spirit Valley. He was very diligent. Lin Xian came out once again, preparing to return. Calculating the time, it was about time for the auction to begin. He had to tell Hai Yuan Divine General that he had to buy the Nantian writ before that. The auction had already begun. This time, the Violet Palace took out 13 items from the Heavenly Court. All the major powers arrived one after another. After a few days of preparation, they had already gathered a batch of wealth. There were even people who wanted to join hands in secret. The first item was extraordinary. It was a treasure box with 7 pills inside. The pills of the Heavenly Court were most likely secret pills that had the effects of a god. That was why everyone's eyes turned red at the beginning. The price was shocking. Hai Yuan Divine General and the others also came. They sat in a private room and frowned. It seemed that the attraction of the Heavenly Court's ruins was greater than they had imagined. He said that with the resources we currently have, I'm afraid we can only buy one. But which one? Qianchen said, that goes without saying. I remember that one of the 13 treasures is a pill furnace, so I definitely have to buy that one. With that pill furnace, he might be able to refine even higher grade pills. However, Divine General Wind Snow said, I remember that there is a flag. Perhaps it has some divine usage. Why don't we shoot that flag? The two sides had different opinions, and the Divine General of the Ocean Abyss and the others also frowned. They wanted to bid for a battle armor because they felt that with this battle armor, they might be able to resist some of the formations in the Heavenly Court ruins. He had to make a decision quickly. This was because the first treasure had already come to an end. It was bought by someone from the Danding School. The Pill Cauldron School's Pill Flame Great Sage and the others also went all out. They took out a shocking price and won 7 pills. When they received it, a smile appeared on their faces. That's great. The pills they wanted were not for consumption, but for research purposes. If they could decipher and restore the pill formula, then they could produce an endless supply of these pills. Their wealth in the future would be unimaginable. Soon they bid for the chess piece. It was a blue chess piece with extremely mysterious patterns on its surface. Divine General Wind Snow decided to make a move, but Divine General Qianchen disagreed. Divine General Sea Abyss also hesitated. Don't make a move, just wait and see. This is not the only thing we want. At this moment, the door of the private room opened, and a voice sounded. Who is it? Divine General Wind Snow turned around, and an icy aura instantly erupted. It's me. Space flickered, and the figure disappeared, appearing in another direction. Then the door of the private room closed. It's you. Divine General Wind Snow was stunned. Divine General Qianchen's face darkened. Kid, you still dare to come back? Do you know how much trouble you've caused? Kneel down obediently and let us suppress you. Otherwise, don't blame us for being merciless. You dare to touch him? I don't agree. Divine General Sea Abyss stood up. Divine General Yun also said, let's ask first. Maybe it's not Mad God's fault. With that, they turned around and asked, what's going on? Why did you have to make a move? Isn't it good to defeat them? Lin Xian said, there's no choice. That 1,000 transformations young master challenged me time and time again, and in the end, he even joined forces with 4 others to kill me. That scene is the same as the master of the great wilderness. Do you think I can hold back? What? The scene of the master of the great wilderness. Could it be that you found out something? That's right. Lin Xian nodded. Divine General Win Snow was shocked. No wonder those 5 people wanted to attack Lin Xian. Divine General Qian Cheng stood up. Hurry up and say it. Lin Xian sneered and looked at him. Oh, you want to suppress me and hand me over to those people? Why, do you still want to make a move now? Divine General Qian Cheng's face was cold. Could it be that you want to keep the secret for yourself? Lin Xian sneered. Don't think of me as despicable as some people. I didn't say it because I wanted to make a statement. Do you still treat me as one of your own? This was natural. Divine General Hai Yuan and Divine General Yun stood up. They had always supported Lin Xian. Lin Xian didn't doubt this. Lin Xian only looked at Divine General Win Snow and Divine General Qian Chen. Divine General Win Snow said, if you attacked because you wanted to protect the secret, then it's understandable. Divine General Qian Chen also snorted coldly. This time, we won't attack you. Lin Xian shook his head. Words are no proof. You guys can swear. You dare to not believe me? Divine General Qian Chen was angry. Lin Xian sneered. You didn't even ask about the situation before and wanted to suppress me. How can I believe you? Either swear, or I'm going to auction off this secret. Qian Chen was angry. Divine General Win Snow said, I swear on my Tao heart that I will never attack you because of this matter. Lin Xian nodded and looked at Qian Chen. What about you? Divine General Qian Chen gritted his teeth. He had no choice but to swear on his Tao heart. Now you can say it, right? He snorted coldly. Lin Xian looked around again. He set up the array and said, there was a token among the 13 treasures. If he got the token, it would definitely be of great use. Divine General Hai Yuan and Qian Chen were surprised and asked, how do you know? Lin Xian said, I went to the ruins of the heavenly court once before. There was a crack inside, so I didn't go in. But I have a secret technique. So I saw some of the scenes inside. He didn't see anything else. He only saw a heavenly gate with dragons flying and phoenixes dancing on it. It was called the Southern Heavenly Gate. The legendary Southern Heavenly Gate. Divine General Win Snow was shocked, and the others also exclaimed. Qing Hong, Zi Hong, and the others were stunned. It seemed that the myths and legends weren't all fake. Even a sleeping little Zhuang opened his eyes. Chapter 49:12. Everyone was shocked when they heard that. At the same time, they also understood why Lin Xian wanted to obtain the token. The South Heaven Gate, the South Heaven Token. There must be a connection between the two. They decided to bid for the South Heaven Token with all their might. Divine General Hai Yuan and the others made their decision. Next, they waited patiently. One treasure after another appeared in front of them. The eyes of the peerless sex and the clan of the ancients turned red. However, they did not make a move. Finally, when the South Heaven Token appeared, Divine General Hai Yuan made a move. After an intense bidding war. In the end, they obtained the South Heaven Token. Damn it. On the other side, the people from the Thousand Dragon Court looked gloomy. They also felt that the token was extraordinary. There were 2 words on it. Perhaps it was related to the legendary South Heaven Gate. However, they had not seen the South Heaven Gate with their own eyes, so they did not make up their minds. In addition to the previous treasures, they did not have enough wealth to compete for the South Heaven Token. In the end, they missed the opportunity. Great, they got it. Divine General Hai Yuan immediately exchanged for the South Heaven Token. When they got it, they heaved a sigh of relief. After studying it carefully, Divine General Hai Yuan placed the South Heaven Token in the void. Everyone looked over to see if there were any changes. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. He realized that there were extremely complicated array talismans in the South Heaven Token. It was impossible to completely understand it. However, with the South Heaven Token, they might be able to enter the Heavenly Court. Next, they waited patiently for the auction to end. The next few items were eye-opening. There were a total of 13 items. In the end, they were all auctioned off. Of course, not every family or sect could obtain them. Only the top 12 could, because the last item was kept by the Z Mansion sect. It was a scroll. The people of the Z Mansion sect did not open it, so no one knew what was inside. Some people guessed that it might contain the secrets of the heavenly court, or it might be a divine technique of the heavenly court. However, the Z Mansion sect would not give it away. In addition, the other sects and families also obtained corresponding treasures, so no one guessed that it was the Z Mansion sect. After the auction ended, everyone dispersed. They were prepared to go to the heavenly court ruins to search for opportunities. As Lin Xian and the others were leaving, they were stopped by more than one person. It was the House of Myriad Transformations, the Gold Crow Tribe, and Lord Blood River. "Where's Mad God? Tell him to come here and die." A cold voice rang out, causing one's scalp to go numb. The people who hadn't left yet all stopped. His face was filled with surprise. Sure enough, they came looking for him. The news of Mad God killing 5 experts in a row had spread far and wide. Naturally, they also knew about it. However, while everyone was looking for Mad God, he seemed to have disappeared. This time, the 5 big shots finally blocked the door. It looked like they were going to suppress the other party. The faces of Divine General Hai Yuan and the others sank. What was the meaning of this? The master of all transformations harumphed coldly. "The Mad God killed my grandson. I will definitely avenge him. My disciple will not die in vain." Lord Blood River snorted coldly. The Golden Crow clan, the Heaven Battling clan, and even the All-Beginning clan coldly snorted and handed over that brat. "I did it because they deserve to die." A cold voice rang out from behind. Everyone turned their heads to look. When they saw the demonic figure, they were all stunned. Heavens, he actually dared to come. Was he Mad God? He was too arrogant. Those were the 5 great leaders. He dared to appear at this time. Did he really think that he could withstand them? Gratitude. When the master of all transformations and the others saw Lin Xian, their eyes erupted with extremely cold, killing intent. The surrounding void collapsed and the earth cracked. Divine General Hai Yuan snorted coldly and stood out. However, they still looked as if they were facing a great enemy. The Divine General of the Sea Abyss had to take out a shield to block the power. There was no other way. The Master of all transformations and Patriarch Blood River were the peak existences of the Great Sage. They were one realm higher. Lin Xian naturally looked as if he was facing a great enemy. However, he didn't retreat. A dragon's roar rang out from within his body. There was even a black vortex beside him that swallowed this terrifying power. The Master of all transformations walked out and stared at Lin Xian coldly. "Mad God, you better be obedient and come here to die. Or do you want me to suppress and torture you to death?" The others also walked out. Patriarch Blood River sneered. "You divine generals, hurry up and leave. I can spare you. If we really fight, the 5 of you won't be enough. I can beat you with one hand." "Damn it." Brother Yun and the others gritted their teeth. "Did you think that there weren't any peak existences of the Great Sage in our sacred Abyss Tower? So what if there were? Did they come?" Patriarch All-Beginning snorted coldly. Since they didn't come, there was no difference. Now that there were 2 peak existences of the Great Sage here, do you think you can still escape? With that, Patriarch Blood River stepped out. The blood on his body surrounded the 9 heavens, causing the divine generals to stiffen. They couldn't resist at all. However, at this moment, a terrifying aura erupted from the Divine General's body. Divine General Hai Yuan's shield blocked Blood River's attack. Divine General Feng Shui and the others also had magic treasures in their bodies. They broke through the void and roared at the sky. "Do you want to be enemies with us?" On the other hand, Divine General Qian Chen snorted coldly. "I won't interfere in this matter." He stood at the side. He had promised Lin Xian that he wouldn't attack Lin Xian, but it didn't mean that he would help him. "It's over. This brat is really dead." Even Crane Jiuxiao, Yan Ling, and the others frowned. If this matter wasn't handled well, a war would break out in advance. They might not even be able to enter the heavenly court. Lin Xian sneered. "I killed the 5 of them because they deserved to die. Even if I had another chance and met them again, I would still kill them without hesitation." Lin Xian's voice made the scalps of the surrounding people tingle. This brat didn't kowtow and admit his mistake in such a situation. Instead, he continued to be arrogant. Was he not afraid of death? Brat, what did you say? The Lord of all transformations was furious. A large hand came across the sky. Lin Xian quickly retreated. At the same time, he shouted coldly, "If you kill me, you can forget about entering the heavenly court." Boom boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out. A large spatial crack appeared and swallowed the Lord of all transformations' attack. You dare to stop me? The Lord of all transformations roared. An elder of the Gu family walked out with his hands behind his back. What do you mean by that? He stared at Lin Xian and asked. The others did the same. Could it be that this brat knew how to enter the heavenly court? What a load of nonsense. Even the Lord of the Great Wilderness didn't know. How could he? Blood River snorted coldly. Stop pretending. You can't fool us. Chapter 49:13. The Lord of all transformations and the others didn't believe Lin Xian's words at all. They walked up again. Lin Xian snorted and stood with his hands behind his back. Where's the Lord of the Great Wilderness? What do you want? Someone from the Purple Mansion asked coldly. The Lord of the Great Wilderness also walked out and stared coldly at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, when you escaped from the ruins of the heavenly court, did you see a heavenly gate standing in the sky? Did you see 33 heavens in the distance? One of the third heavens was broken. How did you know? The Lord of the Great Wilderness was shocked. Although he only saw it from afar, but it was indeed as Lin Xian said. The surrounding people were stunned. What did that mean? The Lord of the Great Wilderness actually agreed with what Lin Xian said. Could it be that he really knew the secret of the heavenly court? For a moment, countless people were in an uproar. The eyes of the Purple Mansion and the Thousand Dragon Court instantly lit up. The Lord of all Flowers' pupils also shrank. These people attacked crazily, but the experts of the Gu family, Thousand Dragon Court, and Purple Mansion all stopped them. What's the meaning of this? Are you trying to stop us from taking revenge? The Lord of all transformations snorted. The Lord of Blood River and the others also frowned. The Lord of the Great Wilderness snorted. Those 5 people must be trying to get the secret of the heavenly court. Since they attacked, they must be prepared to die. The Lord of the Great Wilderness had been attacked before, so he naturally knew this anger. The people of the Thousand Dragon Court also snorted. Since they were weaker, they had to accept their fate. The people of the Gu family and Yi family also nodded. Damn it. The people of the Thousand Transformations sect, the Battle Sky clan, and the Golden Crow clan were gritting their teeth. Damn it, they didn't expect this kid to change the situation so drastically. Even Divine General Haiyuan and the others were stunned. The Mad God had such ability. Divine General Qian Cheng was even more stunned. He originally wanted to use the Lord of all transformations to kill Lin Xian and watch the show from the side. But he didn't expect Lin Xian to survive. And the shocking thing was beyond his expectations. People from the Z government walked out. The Master of the Great Desolation said, Mad God, I sincerely invite you to come to the Z government. We will provide you with great resources. The Violet Palace Hall can be given to him. The 10,000 Dragon Dynasty can give it to him as long as he brings us into the heavenly court. The people from the 10,000 Dragons Dynasty also laughed. The Yi clan and the Gu clan both stepped forward to extend their invitations. For a moment, everyone was in an uproar. They did not expect Mad God to be favored by so many people. Lin Xian laughed heartily. Thank you for thinking so highly of me, but I'm very angry today. I want these people to disappear in front of me. After saying that, he looked at the Myriad Transformations ancestor and the others and coldly shouted, Scram! These people were relying on the fact that they were late or even peak great sage existences and wanted to suppress him. How could he give them face now? The faces of the Master of all transformations and the others instantly darkened. Who were they? When had he ever been scolded by a Saint King? The Master of the Great Desolation walked out and said coldly, Please leave, the Z Mansion does not welcome you. The people from the 10,000 Dragons Dynasty, The Gu clan and the Yi clan also walked out. Everyone, you'd better disappear today. Otherwise, don't blame us for asking you to leave. Damn it. The 5 snobbish people gritted their teeth. Although they were powerful, the people in front of them were all from the Emperor clan except for the Z mansion. Even if the Z mansion was not from the Emperor clan, it was still a supreme existence that existed 70,000 years ago. It was said that it had a close relationship with immortals. If the 4 major powers joined forces, they would not be able to resist at all. Moreover, they came alone. If a battle really broke out, their souls would probably be destroyed. The 5 experts could only grit their teeth. They stared at Lin Xian. Brat, just you wait. After saying that, the 5 of them left hatefully. He actually left? The 5 giants came with great force, but they could not do anything to a Saint King. This mad god was really too heaven-defying. In an instant, all kinds of deeds and reputation about him spread even more widely. The people from the Z mansion rushed over and invited Lin Xian to be a guest. Obviously, they wanted to know more secrets about the heavenly court. Divine General Haiyuan and the others were nervous. Was Mad God going to leave them? Lin Xian smiled. Don't worry, I know what you all want. How about this? 5 days later, we will go to the heavenly court together. At that time, I will need everyone to work together. All right, we will see you in 5 days. After the people from the Z mansion left, the people from the other sects and clans also left. They began to prepare and set off for the heavenly court in 5 days. After everyone left, Divine General Haiyuan brought Lin Xian and the others back to the villa. After returning, he asked, "Do you really know the secrets of the heavenly court?" Divine General Wind Snow also said, "Why didn't you say so before?" Lin Xian smiled. "What can I know? I told them that it was no different from yours. Back then, I took a look and saw the southern heavenly gate. I saw the heavenly court and the 33rd heaven. That is what I saw. Other than that, I don't know anything else." What? The divine generals were stunned. The geniuses on the Saint Origin ranking were also dumbfounded. Even Xiao Zhuang was stunned. He asked, "Are you trying to trick him?" Lin Xian said, "You can't call it lying. We have the Southern Sky token. Maybe we can go in. Even if I don't say it, they will definitely fight for it when we take it out. Maybe a war will break out. We only have so few people, we can't fight against so many forces. Why don't we take the initiative to take it out and work with them?" Hearing this, Divine General Qian Chen's face turned black. "Damn brat, if you have this idea, why didn't you say so earlier? This way, we won't have to spend a lot of money to buy the Southern Sky token." Lin Xian glanced at him and shook his head. "Are you stupid? Without the Southern Sky token, what bargaining chips do you have to negotiate with them? This is not your territory. You." Divine General Qian Chen was so angry that he vomited blood. How dare he call him stupid? Divine General Wind Snow and the others nodded. Yes, the Southern Sky token is in their hands. That's why they have enough trump cards to negotiate with them. They were shocked. Did Mad God plan this from the beginning? Divine General Hai Yuan said. "Aren't you afraid that the Lord of all transformations will suddenly attack and kill you?" Lin Xian smiled. "No, I'm not. His body gradually turned into a law. This is just a clone. If he dares to attack, I will let Zifu and the others kill them." Divine General Hai Yuan and the others gasped. Even a clone is prepared. That means that even if the 5 giants attacked, they wouldn't be able to hurt Lin Xian's real body. "Where is your real body?" Divine General Wind Snow asked. "Lin Xian will appear in 5 days. Divine General Hai Yuan looked around. "All right, we got it. Let's start cultivating and get into peak condition." Chapter 49:14. 5 days passed by in the blink of an eye. On this day, the entire Taiqing ancient city set off for the heavenly court. Lin Xian also soared into the sky. Finally, they arrived. There were already countless people waiting in front of them. The most dazzling ones were the Z Mansion, Thousand Dragon Court, Gu family, and Yi family. Other than them, The other ancient families and peerless sects were also there. The 5 giants who had caused trouble for Lin Xian did not appear. It was unknown if they had hidden themselves. Lin Xian could not be bothered with them. The Desolation Lord and Draconic Lord walked over and asked, "Mad God, what's your plan? You can tell us now, right?" Lin Xian nodded. Then he called a few divine generals over and discussed with them. The divine general of the Ocean Abyss said, "The token we bought is called the Southern Sky Token. It can be used to communicate with the Southern Sky Gate. This is a chance to enter the Heavenly Court." What? The Southern Sky Token? Countless people were in an uproar. They recalled that there was indeed a token among the 13 treasures that were auctioned. Was that the legendary Southern Sky Token? The 1,000 Dragon Court's Dragon Reflection Lord's pupils constricted. He felt that the token was extraordinary and wanted to buy it. However, he did not have enough wealth. He did not expect it to be so important. Since that was the case, there was no time to lose. The Yi family's expert said. The divine general of the Ocean Abyss and the others nodded. They held the Southern Sky Token and stood at the front. Then, they said that they needed everyone's power. There was no problem. The Gu family's expert walked out. Then the other experts walked out and formed a formation to provide them with power. The divine general of the Ocean Abyss held the Southern Sky Token and activated it. The great Tao on it rushed out and flew forward. The void split open and the aura rushed out. Everyone felt a primordial power rush out as if it had crossed through time and space. It was really useful. The surrounding people were excited when they saw this. It was not enough. They needed more power. Everyone, stop hiding. Otherwise, no one would be able to enter. The divine general of the wind, Snow, shouted. The others used their power again. At the same time, more people took action. They knew that without the Southern Sky Token, they would not be able to enter. The entire world shook violently, and the abandoned illusion of the Heavenly Court became clearer. Everyone saw that the clouds seemed to have dispersed, revealing a heavenly gate standing before them. The heavenly gate was magnificent. One pillar after another stood tall, with dragons and phoenixes painted on its surface. Suddenly, their pupils shrank, because they found that there seemed to be a figure standing at the gate of heaven. Someone was inside the southern heavenly gate. There was actually someone here? Who the hell is it? He attacked with all his might. The overlord of the Grand Desolation roared in rage. The others moved out in a frenzy. At this moment, the illusory figure became clearer and clearer. Suddenly, Lin Xian was also shocked. Damn it, why did that guy look so much like Heishan? The Lord of the Great Wilderness, Lord of the Dragon Creation, and the others also burst out with extremely intense radiance from their eyes, piercing through heaven and earth as they looked ahead. However, in an instant, the shadow in front of him disappeared. The southern heavenly gate stood there, emitting a desolate aura. The figure was nowhere to be seen. What happened? Did he disappear? Several top-notch experts frowned. The others were also in an uproar. Someone said that it might be an illusion. Perhaps. Everyone nodded. After all, that thing never appeared again. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He should be sure that it was Heishan now. After all, the other party looked very similar to Heishan. Furthermore, Heishan had the Sky Lantern and was the successor of the Heavenly Court. If there was someone who could enter earlier than them, it would definitely be Heishan. This guy, I thought he wouldn't come, but he still came. Lin Xian smiled. When the time came, he could cooperate with Heishan. Finally, all the clouds disappeared, and everyone felt that an independent space had appeared before them. They could enter. The Gu family's expert sensed for a while, then waved his hand. The void in front of them fluctuated, and a whirlpool gate appeared. Let's go. Figures walked in one after another. Not only the older generation's experts and super mighty figures, but the young geniuses also entered. This was an opportunity. The southern heavenly gate was a mythical existence. Now that it appeared here, there might be a heaven-defying opportunity. Let's go. Heavenly General Hai Yuan and the others waved their hands, and Lin Xian, Peng Wanli and the others followed. In the next moment, they entered and felt an even more desolate aura that made their scalps go numb. The space was vast, but no one dared to move forward after entering. Some people said to go quickly. They could only enter the true heavenly court after crossing the southern heavenly gate. In an instant, some people turned into streams of light and rushed over. But in the next moment, they were sent flying back while vomiting blood. 2 of the older generation's experts fell to the ground with pale faces. 4 of the younger generation's bodies turned into blood mist. Damn it, what's going on? Everyone was stunned. Was there a peerless killing array? They were shocked beyond words. Lin Xian frowned, and his eyes flickered. At this moment, the master of the great wilderness, master of the Long family, Gu family, and Yi family all turned their heads. Fellow Taoist from the Sacred Origin Tower, please lend me the Southern Heavenly Token. Heavenly General Hai Yuan and the others took a deep breath and walked over with the Southern Heavenly Token. Everyone gave them strength, but in the next moment, they were sent flying back. Even the surface of the South Heaven command plate dimmed. No, the Southern Heavenly Token seemed to be able to enter, but to cross the Southern Heavenly Gate, they needed another method. What's going on? They all looked at the 2 older generation's experts. The 2 older generation's experts vomited blood and recounted what they had experienced. The others were shocked. It turned out that when the 2 older generation's experts rushed forward and crossed the Southern Heavenly Gate, they saw an indomitable giant. The giant was wearing a divine armor and punched at them. The 2 were unable to withstand the force and were sent flying while vomiting blood. The giant was wearing a divine armor and punched at them. The surrounding people were stunned. They did not see it at all. Even the peerless experts frowned. Was it an illusion? The master of the great wilderness and master of the Long family stared at Lin Xian. They said, "Mad God, you should know the secret of this place. Why don't you go first?" Everyone looked over. Heavenly General Hai Yuan and the others' expressions changed. Not good, they had already heard from Lin Xian that Lin Xian did not know the so-called secret. What they did previously was to use these people to fight against the 5 giants. If they let Lin Xian go now, it would be very dangerous. Lin Xian's expression was solemn, but he knew he could not back down. If he angered these peerless experts, they would probably take action immediately. Therefore, he nodded and walked out. I'll be the first to ascend the Southern Heavenly Gate. Since the Black Mountain appeared here, it meant that there must be a way to pass through. Although he did not cultivate the Heavenly Court's techniques, he had the heaven-devouring jar. Furthermore, he had heard it from the 2 older generation's experts. Chapter 49:15. Thinking of this, Lin Xian walked forward. The moment he stepped through the Southern Heaven Gate, he realized that the scene in front of him had changed. An indomitable giant clad in divine armor threw a punch at him. A vast and majestic power surged, terrifying everyone. No wonder those people couldn't block this punch. It was too terrifying. It could make one's soul tremble and make one want to kneel on the ground. It was ridiculously strong. Lin Xian was shocked, but he quickly calmed down. He had fought all the way and had seen all kinds of things. Although the fist in front of him was terrifying, he wasn't afraid. He felt that this should be an illusion, a test for him. With a roar, he punched out. The black fist transformed into 6 worlds that danced between heaven and earth. Thunder filled the sky as the 6-path fist surged. A monstrous punch. Lin Xian's fist and the fist of the armored giant collided. A vast ocean appeared around them as the power swept through the 9 heavens. Buzz. Lin Xian's body passed through the other party's fist and walked through the Southern Heaven Gate. He suddenly turned around and realized that the illusion of the armored giant was gradually disappearing. Did he pass? He took a deep breath. The people outside were shocked when they saw this scene. He passed through. Heavens, how did he do it? Exclamations sounded one after another. The 2 experts who had failed previously were dumbfounded. Facing the punch of the armored giant, this guy could actually block it. It was too unbelievable. Mad God, what's going on? Hurry up and say it. The dragon's sovereign roared. The eyes of the 1,000 Dragons dynasty and the others turned red. Lin Xian turned around and said plainly, the 2 seniors were right. With the giant in the armor, this was a kind of test. Those who could block it passed, and those who couldn't were eliminated. After all, the Southern Heaven Gate was a legendary existence. Not everyone could climb it. It was actually a test. Was it true? Was this kid lying to us? Did he have a special way to deal with it? One after another, voices sounded. Obviously, they didn't fully believe it. At this moment, someone stood up. I'll do it. Another person from the sacred origin tower was Peng Wanli. He used the great Peng spreading wings and quickly flew over. When he reached the Southern Heavenly Gate, he saw the same illusion as before. He subconsciously wanted to retreat, but he quickly reacted. This was a test. There was nothing to fear. He rushed over. Finally, he passed through the Southern Heavenly Gate and ascended. Great, I did it, I succeeded. Peng Wanli raised his head and roared. Lin Xian looked at the other party and nodded. As expected of a member of the Heavenly Rock clan. This fellow was indeed an expert. His courage was commendable. He nodded slightly at the other party. Another one succeeded. It didn't seem to be a trap. Hurry up and attack. Everyone else followed suit. All of a sudden, countless people ascended the Southern Heaven Gate. The next moment, they saw a punch coming. This punch could surpass the gods. Some people were frightened and flew backwards while vomiting blood. Some people were so frightened that they knelt on the ground. There were also people who responded forcefully. Lin Xian was right. The legendary mythical land was not a place that anyone could enter. 90% of the people who came were beaten out, and only 10% could successfully pass. However, there were truly too many people. Even though it was only 10%, it was still enough to make one's scalp go numb with a single glance. Lin Xian's people had all passed. On the other side, the people from the Thousand Dragons Court and the Purple Mansion also passed. There were people from the Great Sects and sects who passed, but of course, more people were eliminated. They could only stand outside the Southern Heavenly Gate and watch this scene with despair. They would probably never have a chance in their lives. Let's go. Lin Xian and the others no longer paid attention to those who failed. They turned around and walked inside. Even the Southern Heavenly Gate had appeared. Would the Lingshao Hall appear? Also, was that the 33-story building the legendary 33 levels of heaven? The deeper they walked, the more desolate it became. There were clouds under their feet, as if they had really arrived at the mythical era. That aura terrified them. Gradually, some people could not take it anymore. Some people's bodies cracked, and some people vomited blood. No, I can't walk anymore, Elder. Grandpa, save me. They were terrified. Those experts all used their saint domains to envelop these people. Only then were these people able to continue forward. Lin Xian also felt a chill down his spine. Fortunately, the 4 divine generals beside him worked together to use their saint domains to protect them. After walking for a long time, they frowned. What was going on? Why couldn't they reach the 33 levels of heaven in front of them? Where was the Lingshao Hall? Lin Xian's eyes emitted a terrifying light as he looked through the sky. The others were also using their saint domains. Some people had strange laws in their eyes, while others took out formations. Everyone was investigating. At this moment, the Gu family's super mighty figure sighed. The 33 levels of heaven seemed to be just an illusion and did not really exist. What illusion? It was impossible. Even the Southern Heavenly Gate had it. How could the 33 levels of heaven not have it? The Yi family's unparalleled expert sighed. It was not that they did not exist, but that they were not here. Now, it seemed that the heavenly court back then had been separated. There had been ruins of the heavenly court before, and now another one had appeared. Who knew if it would appear again in the future? Perhaps the 33 levels of heaven were in other ruins, but there did not seem to be any here. Could it be that this was all an illusion? The people of the Purple Mansion frowned. Apart from the Southern Heavenly Gate, what else was real? The people of the 10,000 Dragon Court also frowned. The others were also in an uproar. It couldn't be, right? If there was only one Southern Heavenly Gate, then what treasures were there? Who dared to trespass into the 12 Dao palaces? With a roar, everyone's souls trembled. What were the 12 Dao palaces? Some people were puzzled. The people of the Purple Mansion sucked in a breath of cold air. Old Zhang of the Purple Mansion said, "Are the legendary 12 Dao palaces here? Great, there must be countless treasures here." Everyone guessed that it must be an incredible existence. But where were the 12 Dao palaces? They discovered that there seemed to be a golden palace in front of them. Its aura was majestic and extraordinary. Was this the legendary 12 Dao palaces? Let's go. The group of people went forward. Countless figures appeared in the surroundings. They wore divine armor and held swords and sabers. Their auras were piercingly cold. They stood there and roared. "If you want to pass the 12 Dao palaces, you have to ask us heavenly soldiers first." Boom. At that moment, the ground trembled again. A giant wearing divine armor walked over. With a heaven-splitting axe in his hand, he stood tall. Everyone was not even as big as his foot. He stood there and roared at the sky. Then he chopped down with his axe like a tsunami. Everyone realized that this time, it did not seem to be an illusion. Damn it. Who are these people? Were there still people alive in the heavenly court? That was impossible. It was said that the heavenly court had existed for a very long time. It had been destroyed many times, but it had been restored each time. The most recent time was 50,000 years ago. Did these people survive 50,000 years ago? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.